Very cute. All right, I'm going to transition over. We're going to see all of these people and see all of these lovely people, and then I'm going to put names on them
Oh
as we go.
Lord.
So here we go, chat. Dun 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 dun. Here we are. I am very excited to have this crew. This is a very interesting group of people, and I'm excited to have them together. I will start with someone who is going
Oh
to
God.
should need no introduction, but just in case, I'm going to give you an introduction. And I want to say that this person not only is prominent on this channel and elsewhere in the fantasy and speculative fiction community, but is also beginning to build up the setup as a streamer. So you're going to notice he's got a green screen now, like pretty soon. He's also talked to me about, his virtual reality streaming. I'm just kidding. Everything is just like ultra deluxe and all this stuff. But of course, it is our very dear friend, Brandon O'Brien, and also known as the Rising Tides in chat. Brandon, I'm super excited you're playing with me because I don't think I guess I had you as a player once, or no? Did it? Maybe not. Maybe I've not had you as a player.
Um, you
I
not
played
not
with
on
you.
stream. No.
Yeah, I played
Yes,
with
we've
you,
done
but
speculate things,
yes.
but we've
Yes.
never played here before, and I've never been available for like any of your um like with viewers, with patrons stuff. So I'm really glad that I just so happened to like still be awake,
I know.
especially after FireCon.
I am so excited. So tell me and to tell us quickly, just before the name comes out, for those that don't know you, Brandon, tell us about yourself and then tell me how FireCon went for those who weren't able to like watch it personally and just watch it from the outside.
Okay. Well, first, hi, I'm Brandon O'Brien, a writer, a poet, a game designer. I do a lot of things. I don't know how, but I do. Um, I'm also the GM of both the Blades of the Dark series that takes place on this channel, The Case of Descended Seal, as well as the stage manager of Sound Clash: The Clampdown, both of which take place on Sundays on this Twitch channel. Um, as for FireCon, FireCon was wild. Um, I was on two panels as part of FireCon Fringe, which was like their portion of content specifically for um, time zones like further east of the world. So as many people as possible could still get an opportunity to enjoy FireCon content. Which meant that I had a panel at 7 o'clock last night and another panel at 7 a.m. this morning.
Oh
Um,
man.
I
Uh,
slept through lunch, got back up for the Ignite Awards, which was just early this evening, which is a wonderful ceremony. I can't wait for the potential future when FireCon can like be in IRL space and people can actually like physically share that experience.
yeah.
But FireCon has been brilliant. It's still going. Sunday still has content. And yeah, I'm just like really excited that it finally exists and that it's going so well.
I'm super excited. And Amal and Max Gladstone, but also Mel Elmatar won
Hmm.
the Ignite Award
Yet
for.
another
I was gonna
award
say like
for
she just and I was gonna tell her that I was like I predicted before, and I'm like you're gonna sweep this too. She's like, well, there's so many great people. I'm like, yes, there are great people, but your book can't be stopped. I just want to be clear. Like all of these people are great, but if Amal, I mean like and I was trying to think of other ways to like create this context. Like if we put Amal up against a lot of alt right folks, I feel like that book would also destroy the alt right. So I feel like we need to set up situations where this is how you lose the time war can be put up against people, movements that we want to destroy. Like I think that's
Mhm.
important because she'll just beat them all.
Yeah. And
How did
like it's an experience. The other thing that I love about the Ignite Awards is like the very first Ignite Awards has its own good fortune to be able to say that LeVar Burton has won two of its very first Ignite
yeah,
Awards.
yeah, that's so cool.
Which being tangentially connected to LeVar Burton is a blessing for everybody. So yeah.
That's very cool. And I'm so sorry because I haven't had a chance to look at all the award winners. Brandon, how did your poem did you win or did
I did not.
okay.
But of course, that ballot was like stacked with
It
really,
was,
really
yeah.
astounding stuff. Woody Dismukes actually won the Best Speculative
Oh,
Poetry
nice.
award,
Nice.
which I'm really, really glad for, obviously. Um, it was really, really like the beautiful experience of like being nominated for the Ignite Awards is it's one of the few experiences that I've had so far where just being in the same space as all of these other awesome people is more than reward enough.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah.
I really am a big fan of everything associated with Fiacon, and if there's something that's good that's come out of all this, of this nightmare of 2020, there are a couple of silver linings out of a very, very dark cloud, and one of them is the sort of rise of some of these sorts of things to prominence. And so, much credit to all the organizers and to FIA itself and to the people who ran the Ignite Awards and all that, because it seems like it's just been, everything I've heard has been raving about how great it is. So that's awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. Brandon, who are you playing today in our game? What character?
I will be playing the half-elf bard.
Half-elf bard. And the name of said half-elf bard?
Their name is Berrien Temple.
Okay,
Berrian Temple.
I should say their name is okay. Yes, Barry. I'm sorry. Could you spell that one more time? I'm so sorry. Oh, is it in here?
Berrian.
Berin. Oh, Barry. Sorry, A-N or I-N?
IAN.
I-A-N. Okay, Berrien. Last name you said?
Temple.
Temple. Berrien Temple, and their name is okay. So they there. Let me get that down.
Mm-hmm.
They there. Half elf. I was writing this down at once, and all of a sudden it was like, name is half elf bard. I'm like, no, their name is not half elf bard. What are they playing? They are playing Berrien Temple. No. Okay. Excellent. Hit points on this character, please.
The sheet says 31.
1 out of 31 HP. Awesome. Thank you very much. And the name is now. And I want you to know that you are sitting in the spot on the overlay that is usually occupied by one Mr. Trendane Sparks playing Weller Pale. So this is a moment, of two great people in that same seat that are being represented here. So awesome. Thank you so much,
Nice.
Brandon. I'm really excited actually to have you playing with us. So thank you. I am also excited to have someone who has played with us in 2 D&D with viewers and was actually in one of the first ones where, as was pointed out, he was playing with a demonic goat. It was sort of a long story, but it was weird, appropriately weird, and that, of course, is Light and Passion. Light and Passion, good to see you again. For those who don't know you, do you want to explain who you are and what you get up to here on the internets and interwebs, and then tell me who and what you're playing today?
Hi, Light and Passion. Light will just do. I just cruise around on the internet. That's actually literally part of my job. But yeah, watch Arv stream generally here and there when they're doing stuff.
That's my job.
I don't do too much. Some stuff on Instagram. Occasionally I paint minis and print minis and do stuff on board and do some photography as a hobby. So you'll find a few photos here and there pop up on a there. That again, Light Passion. You'll find me there on that if you're interested at all. Played twice here with Arv. First time was a demon goat, and the second time was a paladin that yeeted himself down an internal hole.
Yes, I remember that. that was that dungeon. Wasn't that not the 5-minute, but like the 1-page dungeon, right? That you were doing the quintessential dungeon, yes. I think. Yeah.
There was like an armor, and he couldn't help himself. He had to try the armor on, and took him over and threw him down a hole.
Yep, those were good times. We had another character in that same one that went into a gelatinous cube, and it was good times were had by all. So, Light and Passion, who are you playing today?
I will be playing the half-elf rogue, Perwick Perry Fatborough.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on a second. Half-elf rogue. And name again, sorry?
It's in the Discord if you...
Oh, I see it. Okay, so...
Got it? Cool.
Per Rick. All right, so...
Per Rick.
Perry
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought it was a typo, but no, it clearly isn't.
Oh, halfling rogue. I thought you said half elf rogue, and then I saw
Oh,
Fatborough, and
sorry, halfling.
I'm like, wait, what now? um, Legolas, who
Say
loves
half.
mead, and I'm like, wait, what? This is okay.
Is it? I'm the half elf that was raised by halflings. So kind
It's
of,
really making somehow a
it's
quarter elf, which doesn't really make sense. Okay,
carrot-like
Perwick,
character.
Perwick Perry Fatborough. Okay, and this is a he, him. What are we talking about? Pronouns. Perwick, I should say. Is that right?
Oh, just a him, he, Lord, sir.
Got it. Alrighty. Okay.
Oh, great overlord.
Your pronoun is overlord. That I would be in trouble. Okay. Okay. Fatborough. I love Fatborough is a quality name. For a halfling. Okay. Good. Lovely. Excellent. And last thing is hit point total, please.
Also 31.
Okay. Excellent. You are sitting, so you know, in Alec Gug Edzar's seat, normally occupied by the redoubtable Sod. So normally that's where you are. So I just want you to know that. And if something bad happens, this is your responsibility. There's a lot of weight, being placed in this seat. I'm just saying, not from the Fatborough part. I mean, just like in general, like there's a emotional weight, that's being associated here.
He's
that we're
just
talking
putting
about.
the Aussies in the same spot. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I figured this way. There's a spot for Down Under, and I've got two of you though that are in this Down Under circumstance, but we'll see. Anyway, it's always a pleasure to have Light and Passion with us. Thank you. Welcome back. Moving right along, we have the redoubtable and inimitable Echo Alpha X5, and we don't need to say anything else about him except I am going to let him do that. Tell people, for those of you who don't know you, Echo, welcome back. Tell everyone where they can find you and who you are, sir.
Hello. Yes, it is me, Echo Alpha. Yeah. Um, I am just a regular guy from Norway. That's it. Moving on.
Okay.
But no, no.
I was like, really?
I got more to say. Oh, yes. Yes, who doesn't know me? I know Longwood, but then everybody doesn't know me because nobody truly knows me. But yes, I am @alpha_x5, and I do absolutely bonkers stuff for this channel. And I also play here every other Wednesday with the beloved Trisha Mats, who is the polycat of the crew because she's at a tabaxi. Which I never knew until she came along. So she is helping me expand my knowledge of the D&D of the Forgotten Realms. Thank you for that. But yeah, I also will be playing tonight as a halfling monk. So it's gonna be bonkers hyperactivity and just plain old karate chops, and just ruin my hands. But yeah, beyond that, I say I like Light and Passion. I don't do much. I just switch around on the Twitterverse. I hang around the Arch channel. I hang around everywhere. I clip. Everybody knows me as the clip master. But then, yes. And I despise Arven because he's wearing the Molde Football Club t-shirt. I so despise you, Arven.
It's a special kind of horror adventure just for you, Echo. In this one, you
Yes,
actually
it
go
is.
into their headquarters, and you have to constantly talk about how great they are to everyone that you see. So that's how this works.
Well, Manchester United got Source Edge, so they're screwed. But yeah, is there anything to say? I don't believe there is.
Just a name I need from you, Echo, for your character.
Yes. Oh, Bonko Bombadil is the name.
His name. Whoa. Bonko Bombadil. Let me.
Yes.
Okay. So Bonko.
Bonko indeed, and Bombadil.
And Bombadil. Outstanding.
Oh, Tom Bombadil, over water, wood, and hill, by the reed and the will of fire, sun and moon. Hearken now and hear us, oh, Tom Bombadil, for our need is near us.
Very good stuff. I look forward to having my VOD muted and having my channel salted in the earth by the Tolkien estate. That's going to be great, and I look forward to that coming up any moment.
Just
I will
wait for the
note.
lawyers to burst in from behind. I
Exactly, like just like I am very excited, of course, to have
Oh,
Echo
and
with us.
just to point out from Arwen that
yes.
I am in Radio Johnny Panda's slot,
Yes.
aka John Helfers. And I am donning the official IAB t-shirt.
Oh, wearing an Infinity Beyond shirt. Very nice, very nice. Yes. I am.
Because everybody should get the inspirations. Check if they have inspirations and save them up for the Infinity and Beyond, the finale of Curse of Strahd.
And I should ask too. I should ask very quickly whether or not you know Purrick, Fatborough, if the two of you are from the same area of Hobbiton or the Shire, or if you're not from the Shire at all, or if you are, not obviously the Shire, Adventures Middle Earth. But I'm saying, do you know each other's
rogue halflings? Probably rivals, I would say.
Rivals. Okay, is that fair?
Rivals come together in a very what to say? What is it there? Come together in very unfortunate circumstances. We are forced here by some cruel creature, whatever it is. But we shall come apart. We shall come together and kill this vicious beast.
And actually, wait a minute. I just realized. Oh, you're playing a. Okay, wait. You're playing a monk, not a rogue, though, Echo. Okay, I want to make sure.
Because I got the karate.
Okay. For a minute, I thought we had two halfling rogues, and I'm like, outstanding. That's gonna be great. Okay.
I play one rogue already. I need another.
Echo, hit point total for me, please.
31.
Wait a minute. Does every one of you have 31 hit points? What's going on here? What is this madness? Okay. We will put that there.
The House of the Midnight Violet.
This is a very different kind of house, but thank you, Echo. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm also looking forward to having our other Aussie, Wenchkin, who has returned and has played with us on several occasions, and also is a good guy who raids us, and occasionally I raid, although usually it syncs up the other way, so Wenchkin ends up raiding us more in the other direction because of our schedules. This is the way these things work. But Wenchkin has played with us once or twice before, Wenchkin? Like, how many times? Or 3 times? Is this your third time playing with us now?
More than that.
Yeah. Wow. Because
I've played this Warlock 4 times.
Yeah, that's right.
Played the Dwarf in the Psycho Goat one.
Yep.
And yeah, this Warlock and I have history, so
that's right.
Sticking with it.
I remember that. Okay, so we're talking about she/her for this Warlock, I believe, and we're talking about a Tiefling Warlock played by Wenchkin. Okay. Let the folks know.
Locked on war.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to ask too. I want to put your name up there, but then I want you to tell everyone, you introduce yourself. I won't just do it for you, but just give me. I know it's Neilana. Is there a last name for Neilana? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, you're a one-name star, right?
No last name.
The Madonna of Warlocks. The Sting of Warlocks. Okay, so Neilana. Okay, good. Okay, and give me a hit point total, and then I'm going to put your name up there while you tell the fine people who you are.
Let's do a little test here. Arv, this is a test for how telepathetic you are. What would you believe my hit points could be?
31. Is it
31?
Yeah.
You've nailed it. You've got it.
What the hell?
Just like us, you're telepathetic.
Seriously, these I want you all to know these are sheets that were supposedly approved by WotC.
There's a reason for that, Arv.
Seriously, WotC.
Because they sit there and you can roll, or you take the median and just apply that all the way through. So basically, they just apply a median.
I see. So
for
that's
any one of the same hit dice.
I don't know about this kind of nonsense. This predetermined outcome. It's all scripted. Okay.
Well, if you would like, I will quite happily go ahead and take 60 hit points.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with 31. I just think it'll be very easy because I could just be like, the fireball does 31 damage to all of you. It'll be fine. Okay. And you are sitting, I should say, by the way, in Rob's spot, Mason Dr. Xavier. So you're in his spot where he would normally be sitting. So again, big shoes to fill, but at
He's
least
got a very comfy seat.
yes, exactly, and not an Australian in this case. So, but tell everyone, Wenchkin, what you get up to here on the internet and where folks can see you otherwise.
I do a little bit of streaming. Play pick up D&D games when I can. Other than that, I will mainly be playing role-playing games of different sorts on the things, or sitting in other people's streams and watching them. Other than that, I'm pretty boring.
Is this like an Australian thing also, where Light Bashman is like, well, I'm pretty boring and nobody be like, is this just Aussies just say this? Like, is it to compensate for everything in your country killing people who come there and like trying to kill visitors? So you're just like,
I think a lot of it comes down to sort of Australians just being so awesome.
it goes without saying, so why say
we've
it?
got to go and tone it down a little so that way the rest of the world doesn't get jealous.
These are true facts. These are true statements, no doubt. That's really funny. Okay, so and you should follow Wenchkin, who's trying to do a lot with the streaming side of things. Thank you for the host, Rising Tides, appreciate it. You should definitely follow Wenchkin, a very entertaining streamer. And as I say, I wish I could watch even more, but our schedules don't always sync up. But when I am up at a time that he's actually doing stuff, I usually try to jump over. But thank you, Wenchkin. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, and really good guy. So definitely good to have you here, Wenchkin. And last but certainly not least, of course, very near and dear to all of our hearts, the now functioning Discord person, got Discord working, and that of course is Trisha Matz, yay, who is with Echo, one half collectively of the 4 players within the Shadow Crew community D&D every other week, playing Dragon of Icespire Peak. So I can say that much, but I want to know more from Trish, first of all, about who you're playing, Trish, and then I want to hear more from you about your introduction to the rest of the people. So who are you playing today?
Pardon for a moment. And now you must say Grace.
Yes,
No.
Grace on
Not
that show.
tonight.
Grace.
No, tonight I will be playing Perdita, a half-orc paladin.
Ooh, half-orc paladin. She who was lost.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Abandoned as an orphan of violence, and raised by some kindly priests. I swore to wreak vengeance against those who would bring misery to the helpless. So, definitely a force for good, and I have 44 hit points.
Oh, someone is different. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
I will.
I will. My tiefling's got more hit points than you now.
I will tell you right now, I will, not counting Trish, I will give any of the other 4 of you a free inspiration if, without Googling it, I'm holding you to your honor here, you can tell me what Shakespearean play features a prominent character called Perdita. Any of the 4 other players. Perdita, Perdita, which is what Trish is playing. That is a character's name.
I have no idea, so you're asking the wrong person there, so sorry.
But not allowed to Google. It is a Shakespearean play.
So they're either King Lear or Taming of the Shrew.
Neither is correct, but good guesses.
But they're both Shakespearean, so I should get, because I did 2.
Yes.
Like,
Is it Hamlet? No. I'll give you a half inspiration, which counts for nothing. No, don't message Dragon's Google for you.
My head is hurting trying to remember.
Alright, stop torturing our Bob. We need the rising tides for the viewers with the Steve.
All right, so the answer to that question, actually, I'll ask Trish. Trish should. Well, I don't know. Maybe Trish will know. What play?
I don't know. I first encountered the name Perdita in 101 Dalmatians.
That's pretty funny. I forgot about that one. The original one that, and they, in the Shakespearean version, you can pronounce it however you want. The Shakespearean one pronounces it Perdita, but either way is fine. And it is in The Winter's Tale. Perdita is Leontes' daughter. And King Leontes, because of being driven mad, accuses his wife of being unfaithful with his best friend. And when she's pregnant with his child, who turns out to be Perdita, but because he believes that it's not his, he demands in a fit of madness that the girl be taken out and burned. And instead, the person who does this out of compassion leaves her on a distant seashore. And of course, as you might expect, if you leave a baby in a Shakespearean play on a distant seashore, that baby will not be killed. That baby instead grows up to be the one who was lost. And it is only if that child is found again that Leontes will end up having an heir. It's one of my favorite plays. I actually acted in it myself in college, which is why I happen to like it, but I also teach it. It is a romance. It's a wonderful play in a lot of ways, with one of the most wonderful sequences of romantic speeches made by Florizel, the prince who loves her, to Perdita, who says at the end of it, "I wish that you would create each act and move with each still so that all your acts are queens." One of my favorite lines of Shakespeare. And I'm going to nerd out on Shakespeare the rest of the night if I don't shut up. So, but anyway, that may have had nothing to do with what you were thinking, but I was like,
Nothing wrong with
ooh.
Well, I got
Shakespeare
one
name.
question for Trish on the name. For which 101 Dalmatians do you know it from?
Oh, there's more than one?
Yeah.
Do you know it from the from the film, from the 1961 film?
I think you're muted,
Trish.
Trish.
Yeah.
I didn't catch your question.
Do you know it from the 1961 film, or is it there are other versions that are out there regarding the name?
It was a book originally. I read the book and loved it. And there is a character who gets taken in by the same family that own the married couple of Dalmatians. I can't remember their names. I only remember the poor orphan that they took in.
Okay. So, Trish, let everyone know who you are besides your wonderful role on Community D&D with us.
I'm a podcaster and occasional blogger, an occasional narrator for LibriVox. I've been on a few panels at science fiction conventions, namely Worldcon this summer, and I did some behind-the-scenes tech mediation for NASFIC, and so let's see, the most recent podcasts that I've been on have been for SFF Audio, but I'm on another couple that are in hiatus at the moment that should be coming back. And you can find, I'm most active on Twitter. You can find me there at PEMATSON.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Trish. And Echo, I just put that in Discord, so you can able to see that.
So.
All right, intrepid adventurers,
Sorry.
let's get cruising here. So, here is the situation. All of you have found your way through various places, and I encourage you to imagine what led you to this place, to a small town on the outskirts of civilization. It is a place that is sort of a waypoint, I guess, for people who are going into the true wild, and people who want to enter the more civilized lands. And you are sitting at the same common table, because there are not many of them in this small inn in which you sit, in an inn called Savier's Tranquil Inn. The inn itself is painted a light, pleasant green color, and there are various plants growing along the side of the inn, and colorful flowers line the walkway. And as you are there, sort of standing on the outside, I guess... No, actually, you're inside, I beg your pardon, at this one table. You can hear some of the music that might be expected from this rather, again, it's not a big place, but it's fairly busy. And I'm going to add to this, there we go. I'm going to add tavern music, ambient tavern music from Greenforge Studio, with which we have an arrangement. You folks should go check these people out for more of their amazing music, because they are pretty cool people. And right now, chat should be able to hear this, as should the players. Players, can you hear that? I think a little bit?
Yes.
I can hear that louder than I can when we do Dragon the Raspberry Peak.
Let me turn that down a bit then. There we go, that should be better. Okay.
Bit more,
Nice.
please.
So, and I think you also should be able to turn it down a little more. I want to make sure chat can hear it, so you can turn it down a bit in your own things as well, but hopefully that's not blasting
Oh.
out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Sorry.
Okay, so hey Rock God, what's going on, man? Part 3 of the community D&D group. So various plants have grown along the side of the inn. There are colorful flowers which line the walkway. The door is wide open, and as you are sitting at the table, you hear someone is whistling, and the person in question from outside whistling walks into the inn. And looks around a little bit. You can see that he is a thin and sharply dressed, probably a half-elf male. A balding pate corralled by curly gray hair, moves about the room as he walks into it, whistling and murmuring to himself. And while paying no attention to any of you, he moves past some of these other busy people that are sitting in the tavern and goes back to the bar. He says a couple of things to the barkeeper. And then he looks back at all of you with sort of very piercing gaze and kind of looks at all of you for a moment. And then he says a couple more words to the barkeep and turns around and exits through a door in the back wall behind the barkeep. And after a moment, the barkeeper sort of puts down the mug that he's been cleaning seemingly for the last hour and walks over to your table and looks down at you and says, Oi, Xavier wants you to go see him. He's got a possible job for you. He wants to talk to you a little bit about a little problem he's been having. He says that you look like the right ones for the job, mostly because you're the only ones that he can actually see together around one table without killing each other. You want to go that way? That's where you go. If not, you can eat some of the food and drink some of the swill that passes for material around this place. And he kind of nods at you and turns around and goes back to the bar.
Alrighty, well, lead on. But I came here to find a coin, but yes, lead on.
Cool. Job's a job.
Yep.
And he just
Finding out what's up. What?
Stands up and just walks towards the man. So.
And what about the
Alana
rest
was
of you?
actually here for the sausage. She heard the sausage in this place was fantastic, but
Sausage
hearing
has been
him talk about
disappointing.
it being spill,
Yeah.
maybe he's got better sausage out the back with this dude. So let's go.
It sounds like a plan. Barian and do you want me to make it Perdita, Trish? I want to make sure I pronounce it how you were thinking it. Do you want to make it Perdita?
She calls it, yes.
Okay.
That's how she grew up hearing it.
All right, sounds good. So we will say Perdita. So Perdita, do you want to follow with it? There we go. Do you want to follow these folks?
I said coin is not the major lure for Perdita, but it's worth finding out what's going on.
Okay. So you'll head over that way. Barian, what about you?
As that conversation takes place, I'm like taking very like furtive notes in a notebook of all of the things that I'm seeing around me.
Okay.
A little like hand-bound vellum notebook. And the minute everybody gets up, I just put all of my stuff away and tap the barkeep on his shoulder very briefly.
Yes. He's got 2 mugs in his hand, Barian.
I was trying to get your attention earlier about some documents that I'd like to leave here. Things for the populace, little pamphlets to like lift people's spirits in dark times. I know that sometimes some of the richer folk that pass through this area can be kind of domineering. I just wanted to leave some revolutionary documents around, if you don't mind being the kind of person who can steward that for those folks.
As you say this, you can see that he's kind of like working, and he's, when you say revolutionary, he's like you can tell that he's like polysyllabic. He's are you saying you want to leave some papers with me? Papers. You want to give people papers?
Yes.
He kind of like, are these papers against the law?
Nothing's illegal about possessing paper that has text on it.
You clearly left him behind after papers. Like you said, that has text on it. He's like, well, if it's not against the law, then I'll keep your papers and I'll give them to people. As long as it's not against the law.
Grand. And I lift up two bound stacks of paper and walk past them and just leave them behind the bar for him to find. They're very against the law.
Okay, so you put that there, and he just sort of looks down at it and kind of, and then, but sure enough, as you are going into the door, Barian, to follow the others, you can see that he actually looks down at the pile of papers and then reaches down, picks one up, and there's one sort of old dwarf at the other end of the bar, and he hands it over, and he's like, none of this is against the law, and he hands the paper to the dwarf, who begins to read it as you're going into the doorway. So when you get into there, you can see that this back room that you've all entered actually looks much less like a place from an inn and looks more like a room, probably this gentleman's room, where this half-elf man is walking around. And he's in the middle of stacking a set of books on a coffee table when you come in. When he takes a moment to just sort of take a single figure, he pushes his spectacles back up his nose, and he notices you, and he stops whistling, and he quickly finishes his stacking and says, Oh, do come in, please, he says. And the room is very elegant and tidy. You can see that there are a number of comfortable-looking chairs. In fact, there are 5 such chairs surrounding the coffee table. And in addition to the books, there is a steaming kettle and several sleek porcelain cups sitting on the table, and the aroma of tea drifts up from from these mugs up to your nostrils. And he says, please, have a seat, please. Sit down.
Have some that grand smelling tea of yours. And he just walks over and all smiling in sunshine and just sits down.
Okay, and he's like,
the tea. What's the herb? This tea is very lovely.
He says, indeed, this is some of my favorite. We call it golden flower tea, something which can only be gathered from the top of the mountains. Yes, it's a light with just a slight bouquet. You'll taste it when you have. Well, please, you can try it for yourself. It is one of my favorites.
I'm surprised if it's your favorite. Sure, I've had lots of stuff of it. I presume there's by the table here, there's probably a canteen, well, not a canteen, a pitcher.
Yeah, there's a kettle that's there.
Kettle.
Yep, there's a kettle. Mm-hmm.
All the worse. So he picks them up and he just gives it away.
And it's
absolutely delightful. I need to put all this. Can I purchase from somewhere?
Sorry, I was trying to. My music just blasted me for some reason. Did you ask him a question just then? Sorry.
Yes, good sir. I asked him a question while I'm gifting something to somebody. Because, yes, could I have some of this? I buy it from you, if there is a chance of doing so.
He says, absolutely, and I might be able to give you even more than that, sir, once you've heard the proposition I have for you. Indeed, it's herbs that are my specialty, you might say, but we'll talk more of that in a moment. While Bonko's doing this, by the way, are the others of you sitting down, staying standing? What are the rest of you doing?
I'm walking over to his bookshelves.
Ah, okay. And the shelves look very impressive, Barry. And when you get over there, you can see that there are a number of tomes which seem to be related to a lot of herbal lore. But you also see some other things like the care and feeding of hippogriffs. There's one thing that talks about deadly poisons, myth or reality. There's one that talks about the scientific quality of herbal care in the, and then something is crossed out, something or other, you can't really make it out, century, and then it says third edition. So you have all these tomes that are kind of listed there, and they all seem to be either, if not old, they're all well taken care of, at least, in each case.
If I may interrupt for a moment to just slam something down at Arnold's head. A big tome that says...
Thank you very much, Echo, for the resub. I see what you did there. Thank you. For the Tier 2 resub, Banco's on an adventure and it echoes of Midnight Violet and a big stomp of savage. Thanks, Echo.
Beyond, sir. To infinity beyond and shadow hell.
Thank you, Echo, so much. But yes, Barry, and so those tomes do look pretty impressive and well cared for.
Mm-hmm. I gesture very idly to the books and go, I imagine someone of your academic prowess probably needs us to look into sourcing or perhaps even defending something close to your study.
You have it, and I see that you found the exact right sort of thing to talk about. Yes, indeed, I am looking for someone to be able to, as you say, source, perhaps, a particular herb that I need. And it's very important, as you will discover. But I can already see that you can already see that I've found the right people for this. Purik and Neilana, what about, and also, and Perdita, hopefully I'm going to pronounce that right, but in my head I just pronounce it like the way I have for the last 20 years, but I think I got it right.
It'll help you keep those people distinct.
That's exactly right. I won't confuse them. But the rest of you, are you sitting down around the table, or what are you doing? Purik, what about you?
I was going to be heading over.
Chair.
I was going to head over to the base, but then they started talking about cooking, and that's a mighty fine sort of interest of mine. So now they're talking about sauces and different herbs and spices to go with the sauces. My interest is piqued.
Outstanding. So are you going to sit down while your interest is piqued by this?
I might just wander around the rest of the room, sort of sitting with half-elf chairs and stuff like that with my gorgeous tail. A little uncomfortable.
That's a good point. Yes, you make a good point. As a tiefling, that is quite fair. All right, so you're going to walk around and check that out. Perik, what about you? Are you sitting or?
If there is a cupboard or a bench or shelf or something that can push some books aside so you can sit up so he's closer to the human eye height. And he'll use that as an excuse to have a bit of a thieves' eye look around the room.
Are you looking for anything in particular, Purik?
Anything that just stands out, the small things that a halfling can't help putting in his pocket.
All right, let me have you make a perception check for me, please. And I'll talk a little bit what you got. A 15, all right. So the one thing that I would say that you notice is that you have these books that I've already mentioned, but you also notice that the shelves that there, besides these bookshelves that Barian is looking at, that there are also shelves stocked with decanters and bottles of various shapes and colors and sizes. You can see some of them have liquids in them. Some of them seem to have what look like dried herbs of various kinds in them. This looks very much like an apothecary's sort of thing you would store you would expect to see here, that are lining the lobby walls of all different sizes, lining the walls of the room, I should say, in these shelves. And so you do see quite a bit of that. You also note that the man here is holding a quill, and is holding this quill, and as he sees you looking around, sort of smiles and nods at you, and then walks over to the table, having grabbed a bottle from the shelf. And it's a small little black bottle. And he grabs it and brings it over, and brings with him a large book, probably bigger than any of the ones that you're looking at, even, Barry, and it seems pretty wide. And he opens it up and lowers his spectacles slightly so he can look you over the top of them. And he looks over the top, quill at the ready, and he says, well, good day. I am Xavier. I have any kind of herbal remedy that you would appreciate. I am the dealer of all sorts of valuable kinds of concoctions. If you're looking for potions to be used in adventuring, whether it is the undercutting of certain monsters of particular types, the forming of a particular powerful unguent, or the construction of a kind of glue that may lock your enemy to the floor, I am your half-elf, as you might say. And he sort of bows slightly, and he says, I have some reputation, you might say. One of those reputations is figuring out why the music continues to play way too loud with every new song. Then he stops and attends to that situation without getting his ears blown out as the DM, and returns to the character to say but I have, you see, somewhat of a problem. And that is, we live here on the edge of civilization and the edge of the wild beyond. It is a place where we can find some herbs that cities have long since paved over and destroyed, and yet it makes it sometimes, how shall I say this, difficult to find what I need while still surviving, yes? It is important that I do these sorts of things. And he looks at all of you. Yeah, he looks at the skull also. But he looks at all of you and then says, and this leads to my problem. He puts down the ink and the ledger on the table next to the kettle with the cups of tea, and then he goes over and picks up a blue bottle that is sitting on one of the shelves, and he holds it up and inspects it, and then he starts giving it a wipe with his rag. I'm going to use my hand sanitizer for this, So he gives it another wipe with the rag and places it back in the shelf, tucks the cloth back in his pocket. Perrick, because you were the first one to start looking for this, you notice that he's very much looking. He seems to have his piercing gaze that he fixed you with seems to be fixed on these bottles that he's looking at too. And so he's kind of like, rubbing the edges of them and looking through and swirling around the liquids a little bit. Gives it another wipe with a rag, puts it back, moves to another shelf, and then pulls out another bottle and pulls out the rag, and then stops and looks over at you, Barian. You're fairly near him now, and says, I hired a group once to retrieve a rare flower. A team of adventurers such as yourselves. Alas, only one of them returned, and he was never quite the same again. The half-elf then turns his attention to a pink bottle, picks it up and begins wiping it down, and then continues to keep his attention on the bottle as he says, Oh yes, he returned with the Midnight Violet, but it looked as though he had aged some 20 years. He stayed in this town until the end of his days, but he seldom spoke, and when he did it was nonsense. He was able to tell me that they finally located the flower in a greenhouse found in an interior courtyard. He begins to place the pink bottle back on the shelf. Then he stops and grunts and makes a disgusted sort of squints, makes a disgusted grunt, and then wipes down the shelf a little bit and then puts the bottle back. Finally, he turns his attention back to all of you and he says, My problem is that I've run out of my supply of the Midnight Violet. And the Midnight Violet is one of the most potent antidotes we have against various poisons. Of late, some of the villages around here have found themselves in conflict with various creatures that are prone to use poison on occasion, including, I'm sorry to say, some thieves and ne'er-do-wells. I am certain that none of you, and he fixes his attention on you for a minute, Perrick, none of you fit this description. And then he kind of flickers, his eyes flicker to each of you again in turn, and he says, I've run out of my supply of this flower, and I need someone to get it back. My question is whether I can hire all of you. And then he pushes his spectacles back up.
The question
Can
is
you
how much
hire us is a
sorry.
question.
Yeah.
Can you afford us is another question. You have mentioned that you did send out an entire party in the past, and only one person returned from that party. And that one person that did return was traumatized, broken, aged, to a way that you couldn't fix. So, with that level of danger and possibility that of the five of us here, maybe one will return, what compensation can we go ahead and expect for such an arduous, dangerous, and one would say almost foolhardy adventure?
And so he kind of listens with a slight bemused expression on his face, and when you're done, nods and says, "You have asked a most reasonable and excellent question, and I am prepared to pay you quite well. For each of you, if you successfully return from this adventure, you will receive 200 gold pieces each, and each of you will receive a potion of your choice from my stock. I have here, for example, a potion of greater healing, something which will bring you back even from the brink of death. I have potions of speed, of heroism, of vitality, of resistance. I even have a potion which can restore you from the most grievous wounds, something we know as greater restoration." Now, those of you, I would say, with some knowledge of this, and that would probably be, I would say Barian might have heard about some of this because of various experiences that they've had, in traveling across the realms and needing to be at times a jack of all trades. I would say you would know something of this, Barian, but also I would say that Perdita certainly knows about the importance of healing in these missions, and greater healing potions, and in particular greater restoration potions, are extremely valuable and generally expensive. So the fact that you're being offered each 200 gold and each one of these potions is a fair reward, at least from what you were all aware of. At least it's a reasonable reward anyway. So Xavier finishes, mentions all those things, and then says, "That is my offer, and I believe you will find that it is a reasonable one. Moreover, the adventurers that I hired before, well, perhaps I was being aspirational. I thought that they could come together, but frankly, they didn't have the obvious cohesion," and he opens his arms wide as if to encompass all of you, "that this group clearly has."
So I very quickly want to ask,
Sure.
if it's possible that I know two things about the Midnight Violet in
Lay it on me.
particular, which is how much one flower of it costs, to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and if there are any adverse side effects to consuming it that may have explained the state of the last party that went out for it.
I'm going to ask you to make a medicine check for me, please, Barian, and we're going to see how much of that you know. Void Smoker. The disaster was probably entirely unrelated to the flower. Yeah, I'm sure it had nothing to do with those things. Totally different.
Being that Barian's asked that, and I have medicine, can I go ahead and make a medicine check also, now that he's vocalized it, to
Sure.
see if I...
So I do not have medicine proficiency. I haven't played D&D in so long, you guys.
Still should be wisdom, I think, is not intelligence. I think it's either wisdom or intelligence. That it's driven. Neilana, can you see for me quickly, Wenchkin, is that wisdom or intelligence? I should know this, but medicine check.
Medicine should be
Should say on the
I've got a
sheet.
plus
wisdom.
2 on it. Oh, probably a wisdom
I think
check,
it's wisdom.
that one.
I believe it's wisdom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yumi, a medicine check
Cool.
basically means the skill of medicine if they're proficient in it. If not, it defaults to what the skill is based on. And so in the case of Barian, that will be wisdom. In the case of Neilana, they can use the skill directly. So, Barian is like, I've heard of herbs, and this is definitely an herb that I know.
Yeah, it grows out of the ground.
Definitely.
That's all that comes to mind at the moment.
I got a 12.
I would say, Nilana, that you know that this can sell for a decent price, but it's sort of a specialty thing because it's not easy to work with. It's something that requires a trained herbalist or apothecary to kind of properly grind and, sort of associate. Otherwise, it can have the opposite effect. It's like nightshade. Nightshade in small doses can have effects to be antidotes to poison. If you overdo it, you'll be poisoned by the nightshade. So you really have to be careful about how you use it. It's similar to this. So if you had to guess, this is the
Like
kind of...
arsenic. Difference between
Yes.
a radiant rosy cheek and 6 foot under.
That's it. So I would say that probably, you don't know if you could put necessarily a gold value on it, but it would probably have a decent amount of gold to it, but it would require you to find someone like this who kind of works in this kind of thing. And where you are at the moment, on the frontier, as it were, there's not a lot of these folks to be found, for whatever that's worth.
Okay, so
Was it that Xavier did have some of the black violets still, or was it
No,
not violets?
pretty much has run out. Used to have, but is pretty
Okay.
much out of it, yeah.
Too bad. Because I have heard.
turn around to the elfy thing, half elfy dude again, and go, your offer is very interesting, but let's just condense it to encompass a party. Not change it per se, but make it more fitting so that you have offered 200 gold each. So therefore, you've offered 1,000 gold. Be it 5 or 1 return. Should 1 return, they get the 1,000 gold. Otherwise, that 1,000 gold gets split amongst the survivors. 5 potions of choice have also been offered. Again, they will either be 1 each or 5 if only 1 returns.
I am enormously curious how the other 4 of you are taking this discussion of distribution of potions and wealth while this is being brought up. I'm very, very curious. Go ahead, Barry.
I very slowly raise my hand right behind and go, I would rather be buried with my gold. A job's a job. Me dying probably got you further to your goal than you would have if I wasn't here. Perhaps.
That's okay. If we bury you with your gold, we can go ahead and get Peric to dig it up. I'm sure that is not beyond expectations.
Not at all.
Spoken like a true tiefling. But yes,
while they're all chatting, Perry's going to hop off the bench and he's just going to take a little step back out into the main pub area.
Okay.
I'd like to use my criminal contacts to see whether there's a harper in the room, and just have a quick ask, like, is this dude like for real? And also, what has he been doing with the potions in the since that he's run out of it? Has he been charging the local people for it?
So there are not a lot of people in the room. If you want, you can start to do a look, because the thing about your contacts is that you definitely have them, but they do take a while to kind of assemble, especially this far away from civilization. So if you want, you can do a quick little, I guess I would say, investigation check to look around the room and see if you can find someone who might know. You could also just ask the barkeep. But there's only about 3 or 4 people at the moment, maybe a few more, maybe 5 or 6 now, that are sort of standing around or talking to each other or standing at the bar, in addition to the barkeep. Well, so, yeah, you look around with that critical success of a 20, so a 24 right there. So you just, you start moving around and talking to people, and eventually you find someone who's basically an off-duty town guard, which is as close as you're going to get to sort of a harper in this location. The town here is, again, on the frontier, so there are guards, but they're not, these are reasonable, sort of rough and ready. They have a little bit of combat experience, but they don't have a great deal of connection with other places, let's say. But you get into a conversation with him, and the guard explains a little bit as you're talking. And this is only, you're taking only a couple of minutes to do this, I think.
Yeah, be quick. I want to know if he's run out of this potion, how he used it with the people of the town.
The guard doesn't know, but he knows that 2 things. A, Savier's an odd duck. He knows he's sort of a strange kind of... he's very useful because he does help the people in this town, but he's a little odd. He keeps to himself, and he kind of keeps this room in this inn that most people use as rooms, but he pays the innkeeper a good deal of money to basically keep this for himself and keep it where it is behind the bar, which is odd. But then the second thing about him is that he keeps the sort of amount of stock he has of anything generally a pretty well-guarded secret. He's hired other people to get stuff before, and they're all volunteers, so the guard hasn't moved on them. They always are volunteering. But the missions that he sends people on can sometimes be a little bit difficult. But people who have worked with him before have worked with him a second time, so apparently he's not, a disaster. That's what he knows.
But he helps the town people. So
Definitely the guard says yes. And they don't have anybody
he's not
else really to do that.
Not like overcharging these, or people that straight up can't afford it. He's giving them
No,
potions when
he doesn't give discounts, but he's not gouging them, from what the guard can tell.
He's not gouging them either. Okay, cool. That's what I. Yep, cool. I just pop back in the room and just say, sorry about that. Just needed to use the Jakes.
Okay, so but in answer to your, go ahead. Was it Perdita? I think Perdita. Sorry.
Perdita.
Sorry.
I fold my arms and say, I have no desire to participate in a tontine. If I come back and someone else does, my share can go to charity. Speaking of charity, I assume that you do not sell your potions out of the goodness of your heart. So we're going to be helping you help rich people who get robbed. Is that the idea? Or perhaps their guards.
And he says...
And another question before you answer that.
He stops.
You spoke of getting this flower from a greenhouse. Are you asking us to go rob someone else's greenhouse?
He says...
For this flower?
So he says, in answer to the first question, he says, well, first of all, I certainly would not overcharge the fine people of this village. I have done some work for them in the past, and if you ask around, they'll be able to tell you that I sell my goods at a reasonable price. Unfortunately, I cannot totally give them away, for I do have expenses. And he kind of holds up his hands, and he kind of indicates the vials and the jars and the books, and he says, I am indeed...
Oh, you have very nice tea.
He nods and he says, well, thank you. That is perhaps the one indulgence. You can see from my current locale that I have not certainly overspent on accommodations. And he kind of looks up at the roof, which is kind of slightly cracked, and the tables look stained and whatever. He says, as for where I would ask you to go, no, it is not a matter of robbing some place, at least not a place that anyone lives in exactly anymore. The place in question is on a nearby island. It is one of the only places that Midnight Violet actually grows. It's a short journey, perhaps an hour or two by boat, and you'll know the island by a red beacon which radiates from a lighthouse. Many years ago, the township hired a wizard to cast a spell on that lighthouse that would continually light it in red as a warning to sailors who would run aground during the night or in foul weather. You should be able to find transportation to the island down at the docks. And when you get there, you will find the house, let us say, that is on the island. An old house, very few even know its story. But there was apparently a prosperous family at one time that lived there. But the house has been deserted now for many, many years. And the only thing that is left is those things that grow wild within it, including things within this greenhouse that I mentioned. It is also the place where some fabulous herbs can be found. Perhaps something relating to the isolated nature of the island. It has not been picked over, but I can assure you that these are not being stolen, simply used for positive purposes. And I would point out that the Midnight Violet is used to cure poison. That is a most deadly and vile thing, and I am happy to do my part in fighting the scourge of what this represents. And he pushes his spectacles up his nose again.
I mean, if the rest of you are.
This is a curious case indeed. Wild bushes growing in a greenhouse on an island that you've never been to. An island apparently so cursed or haunted that it can bring the lone survivor of your last expedition back raving.
Well...
Are you sure it's worth it?
He says... cursed is perhaps a strong point. As I said, this group was less prepared. They had perhaps done some work. They called themselves something like, Infinity and What Lies on the Other Side, something like that. It was a silly adventuring name that certainly had no purpose or value. And he said, but the reality is that there probably is some danger. It is why I do not go myself. And lest you think that it is a matter of cowardice, let me assure you that the things that I do working with these substances are quite dangerous enough. But I will admit, I am not a warrior or a wizard. I hire all of you because of your skills in being able to manage these sorts of things. Although this person came back, they did come back holding the Midnight Violet, and if it were up to me, I would find some other place, and I have tried. But with a huge radius around me, I have not found this Midnight Violet anywhere else. Perhaps I could go to some other city, buy it at some enormous cost, but then I would have to pay and spend that cost and send it along to the rest of my buyers. I would have to increase my prices. The fine people of this village could not afford it, and then people would die that would not have died before. I am trying to make a simple living, do my research, and save the people of this town. And unfortunately, that means that sometimes one must go to rather unsavory islands. I don't know what to say about that except to say that I have faith with the questions that you've asked me, that you will take the caution that is required, and you will help the innocent of this town.
So
The caution that is required.
Quite sweet.
Oops, sorry. Well, I have two people there at once. Go ahead first, Nailan, and then Barian.
I was going to say, so if it's an unsavory island, that means the island is potentially quite sweet.
And he sort of looks at you and he kind of figures that out. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Barian. You were going to say.
Caution usually requires expense. Perhaps, at the very least, you should consider sweetening the pot in terms of gathering the tools that we may need in order to withstand whatever we will encounter on that island. The likes of which neither I nor you know.
And so he thinks about it and says, so in other words, you'd like something else for assistance on this mission?
I'd like the gold enough to survive it.
He nods and he says, very well. Gold I can provide you. Perhaps a golden ring. And he holds up his ring. Imagine this was gold and not, in fact, sterling silver. And he holds up a ring. It is a golden ring. And around the outside, you can see that there is an interweaving line. No, it is not told in the line of elves, one ring to rule them all. None of that. But there's an interweaving line around it that seems to be almost like a sort of one continuous line that extends and then crosses each other. But it looks like it's all one thing, basically. And he says, this is a ring which I have found after the first group of adventurers that I hired. And it may be of value to you in two ways. First, this ring can be sold for a significant sum. I am no jeweler, but this is solid gold, and there are some magical properties to this ring, which means that I suspect you could get some serious coin for it were you to sell it in a more civilized land. But secondly, this ring is known as a step-back ring. It means that the wearer, and all those who are with them touching their clothing or their equipment that they hold, can be teleported 300 feet away to any place they have been within the last 24 hours. It means that once you've made your way into the center of this place, if you can find what I need from the greenhouse, you can then, without danger, teleport out of that greenhouse to the outside of the house, and then you'll be on your way onto that boat and back here. Once back here, once you've settled up with me, you can feel free to keep the ring and sell it for profit. Unfortunately, its quality of step back only lasts for one charge. That is all I have in the ring that remains. But you are welcome to use it. It will perhaps make your exiting quite easy and make the financial burden lighter.
As you're holding up the ring, I just immediately put one of my fingers through it.
Okay. So you do that, and when you put your finger through it, you don't feel anything. It just feels like a ring. And he's still got his hands around it, and so he sort of like looks at the rest of you, like sort of as if to say, like, is that all right? You know?
I shrug my massive shoulders.
It's a weird offer, but barring any other inquiries from the rest of the group, I would have to imagine it will do. If everyone is willing to wait for their pay and not backbite anyone for 200 gold pieces.
Well,
Let's see if you'll-
I'm in agreement with what our tiefling said and all. So I am about yes. And you all seem like good proper folk. I am shocked in you all. Well, apart from tiefling, perhaps everybody knows the tiefling have something. You can't trust a tiefling, but then you cannot trust a tiefling. It is a complexly that this island and this garden is sort of a botanical mystery. A curse has fallen. This must be corrected. A curse cannot roam free. It curse roams free, and perhaps a straw shall come and take advantage of it and spread a curse beyond his measure. We must this business. I say we go for it. What do you say? Eh? And he just keeps on, being lost in the golden. What was it called again? Gold.
The golden flower, I believe I called it.
The golden flower tea. Oh, herb tea. Yeah.
Perik, Neilana, I'm going to assume, Perdita, that your shrugging of your massive shoulders was a fine reaction? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. So, Perik and Neilana, what say you?
Oh, I've already said that I was in. I was waiting on the others.
Oh,
to
okay,
join.
sorry. And I should call you Perry, not Perik, because that's the name you would go by. Sorry, my bad. Perry. So you're okay with this?
I
Neilana, what
laugh
about
at Berian. So I laugh at Berian for the moral high ground tried to take of sort of the insinuations that just because I am a tiefling and sort of, yes, I am different, but he comes from a different land as well, not of one, not of the other, doesn't really fit, just like myself. You would go ahead and assume because I aimed for a benefit for the entire group to go ahead and do, rather than have some unscrupulous employer known to send people off to their death and just cheap out by maybe knocking off. He's going to pay one way or the other. Just be, no, you are that. But be the first person to sit there and say, I want more. Give me this. I hope you will all go ahead and wait. But you know what? A bard, they are dandies. They stand there. They got to look good. They got to sound good. And they put others down to be on that high horse. So be it. Do as you wish. I will be there for the rest of the group. I'm in.
So, Barian is he's holding the ring, so you've already said pretty much yes. I think everyone is more or less in agreement. Are you all cool, by the way, with Barian keeping the ring on their finger?
For now.
No, because the first thing I was literally going to do as a result after that conversation was immediately reply, so we're all in agreement then. And then I tossed the ring to Perry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's dope.
Gone.
Immediately
So,
fenced. Like not even not
Well.
even. Oh man. Okay.
Just so you know, everything that we've learned so far says when we get to that island, that's our way out. So if you want to get paid, that means you want to live. Therefore, I trust you.
Yep. I just have to hope there's more than one way.
Okay.
A blossom
This is
of
we
this
never wanna
plant,
rely.
or do you want us to dig up a whole plant and bring it back to you, or what?
As long as you can bring to me, well, the more you can find, the better. But if I can find 2 whole blossoms, I can grind enough to work with for many months. So the more you find, the better, but at least 2 blossoms would be helpful.
May we get paid per 2 blossoms then?
And he sort of smiles and says, I believe the contract is for the entire total of the Midnight Flower, so I'm afraid not. Hopefully that ring will ease your pain at this. his smile is fixed, but like, you know, like it's in the customer is always right position, you know, type of thing.
I'm not aware, so I will ask you, is it possible that the response of your last expedition may have been a side effect of the violet itself?
He says, and he sort of like, now his smile drops like he's taking it very seriously, and he says, well, the only thing I can tell you is it is important to handle the flower not with bare hands but with gloves. Beyond that, though, there is very little that you could do that would be dangerous to yourself unless you crushed it, threw it in some water, and drank the whole thing down. Then we might have difficulty. Other than that, though, there's nothing that just accidental handling, so to speak, would have done, as long as you were wearing gloves when you handle it. And as far as I understand, that's what they were doing. In fact, even the one who came back to me was wearing gloves when they did. So I would say that there's little you have to concern yourself with so long as you follow that very basic protocol.
And contact with the plant while not wearing gloves? What would be the result there?
Perhaps a slight amount of light delusion.
So, taking that you wishes to go over there and do this, slight and light should be removed with vast and huge.
And he shakes his head. No, the understanding is that there can be slight effects. These are generally temporary. If you were to rub this all over your body in some sort of strange ritualistic experience, well, it's perhaps that would have more of an effect on you. But assuming that you don't do that, I can assure you that you will find the results to be perfectly normal. Just basic caution, again, you might say. I, of course, have to deal with this myself. So. Sorry, go ahead, Barry.
Take a walk around the room. If there's any gloves and like shears or snips or anything just in the room.
Did you say shears or snips?
Yeah, like snips and some gloves and stuff. I'm not even hiding that. I'm not going to try and be sneaky. Just literally, if there's a pair of gloves and a pair of snips, I'm going to pick them up and go, go, taking these.
Yep, there are a pair of gloves and a pair of snips.
I've got some of them, Perry. And I pull out my herbalist kit.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still going to take them anyway.
So you take those, and he opens his mouth, and then he's like, yes. Very well.
Well, you know, tell them what the herbalist. It's be unfortunate, yeah. I mean,
Are there more gloves where that came from?
There don't seem to be any others in here. Perry's got the one set of gloves that apparently maybe belong to Xavier, and then Neilana has the herbalist kit. So unless you have an herbalist kit on your character sheet, probably not. There's none of them in this room. Yeah.
Let's get going then.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, once we let a bard start talking, he's not going to stop if we don't leave.
Okay.
I heard that.
Two choices
You're
here.
meant to.
Let me just quickly reset. Everyone is watching a really, really fun D&D with viewers session, The House of the Midnight Violet, with Brandon O'Brien, with Light and Passion, with Echo Alpha X5, with Wenchkin, and with Trishimats. And if you like what you see and hear, please follow us here on the channel, and please also follow these folks on all of their wonderful different endeavors, which they will explain to you at the end again, or you can go back about a half hour or so, maybe a little more than that, and you can check out what they said about the beginning of the session. But welcome everybody, and thank you all for being here. All right, now two
reminders.
Yes, quick,
Echo, BLM,
Yep.
and vote now.
Yes, exclamation point BLM and exclamation point now are two reminders I am happy to include. Absolutely. Okay, now couple of two choices basically that you have to get to the island, unless you have a third one that I'm not thinking of. Technically three. You could swim it. Since it's an hour by boat, you can put together whether you think swimming is likely to work out super well, but I'm certainly willing to, accommodate alternatives. There are boats that you can try to hire, so you could go down and try to do that, or you could rent a boat yourself. Boat rentals here are usually about 25 gold pieces, which I think all of you together would probably be able to pull together enough money to make that happen. And so you could rent a boat to take the boat over yourself. So take a boat yourself, you could hire someone to bring you, or you could come up with some alternative I haven't thought of yet.
I vote for hiring someone.
Okay. Others?
Perry can go steal the boat.
Okay. I'm sorry. Say it again, Bonko.
Perry can just go steal the boat.
Okay. Oh, dude.
That thought has escaped me. But how many of us are here actually sailors? And they did mention that there was a shipwreck, so that means the water may be turbulent. And I know that where it comes to me and boats, it's like chalk and cheese. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm happy to pay someone that does know what they're doing to make sure we get over there. And there's
Or
also
either
that
hide-
aspect of, he mentioned, if we do get that violet thing, immersing it in water and being with us, I don't want to be swimming with that stuff.
You were going to say, Perdita?
Just as soon hire someone. I'm no sailor either, so unless one of us has expertise, we don't know if this island we're going to has rocky cliffs or what. We need someone who can get us through that.
Yeah.
Let's go talk
My
to
immediate
somebody.
concern.
Go ahead, Barry.
Oh, I was just gonna say my immediate concern is our sailor should not be a member of the crew, so everyone has a way back out. Because if
Yeah,
the
the
one
sailor
person
should stay with the ship.
yeah,
Okay. Sounds like you're talking about hiring someone from what this sounds like.
Yeah.
So when you
Into
get
the
down to the docks to start looking at possible people to hire, you notice almost immediately, all of you, that there's kind of a reluctance for people to want to go there. Initially, you get a couple of people who are like, "Oh yeah, I can take you over there," and then you say where you're going, and they're like, "Oh, the boat needs to be rubbed down, and goodbye." So you get a lot of that sort of thing.
I need to walk my boat.
It's just like, yeah, I need to walk my boat. Unfortunately, I have a very important engagement with my inside of my house with the door locked. So yeah, it seems like this is going to be not easy. So what I'm going to need is one of you. I mean, multiple people could try it, but only one at a time, to persuade someone to take you for a modest price. And
What
so
about intimidate?
you could try to intimidate them, but it occurs to you, Nilana, that if you try to intimidate them, there's a good chance that they'll do it and then leave the minute you get off the boat because they're going to be freaked out by you. So if you want them to both
There's
go
very
and
good chance
stay,
they're going to do that anyway.
well, true. I will accept intimidation with the awareness that that may start your relationship off on a given foot, but it's up to you, Nilana.
I
I'll
am
let others
available
roll.
for persuasion.
Okay.
I was going to say, I'll let everyone else have a go, and if they're persuading, even though I prefer persuasive way to do it, I think there's something over there that's putting us on the back foot automatically. So I'll wait till everyone else tries the nice thing, and then if that fails, then we've got nothing left to lose.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Rock God. I forgot I'm washing my boat's hair tonight. Yeah, exactly. That's what's happening. So, okay. All right, Barian.
What's
So
the name, Shane?
you find an old, kind of an old sea dog, as they call them, guy with white wispy hair who seems impossibly bent over. And he's actually, as you come over, at this point, it is sort of late afternoon, almost early evening. So the sun is setting. It looks like you still have enough for a couple of hours of sunlight, but the sun's on its way down. And he's, working fervently on the underside with this brush that he seems to be using to maybe get barnacles off the bottom of this, the hull of his boat. And he's got one eye closed, and then you realize he must perpetually have one eye closed. And he's rubbing at the boat. And you come up to him, and he's grunting.
Good evening, friend.
Aye.
I would like to ask whether you might be available for work.
It depends on what the work is.
The best work that you're available for, kind sir. A trip to a nearby island. And as he's brushing, I reach somewhere nearby for another brush or a cloth to help brush some barnacles off the rest of the ship as I'm speaking.
Barian, I'm going to ask you to make a performance roll for me here, because I think that's what we're doing. I'm going to ask you to
Okay.
make a roll as you do this. And
Bards
you-
are good at
I was
performance.
going to say, you better be proficient in that. Oh, thanks, Yumi. Dungeon Master is what it's called. Wow. That 23, though. So, yeah, so you immediately set to it. Can you tell me, Barian, while I realize I'm switching off of this music, can you tell us exactly how, because you are doing this really well. Did you have experience with a boat in the past and doing this sort of thing?
I've been on a boat once, but very, very young in my experience as a hopper.
Okay.
Most of what's happening in this moment right now is me just watching and mimicking him. Because I'm literally trying to enter his
Sean,
spirit, as
washed
it
off.
were, to literally. Yeah, I'm literally trying to imitate him in a way that will kind of endear me to him as someone who either knows a lot about boats, which I probably don't know a great deal, or as somebody who's just willing to ingratiate myself with him.
I love it. This thing as you're sort of setting up for that. There we go. That's what I was looking for. As you're setting up for that, give me not this but this. There we go. Age of Sail, baby. There we go. As you're setting up for this, you all notice, by the way, that Barian is setting to with a will, as they said in the old days, and the sort of the old man looks at you for a while and is like, "Ah, you look like you've spent more time than a bit out on the open seas, laddie. I'm glad to see that in this day of a bunch of landlubbers running around and waving swords, there's some who still understand the value of rocking back and forth as the sea embraces you. It's good to see it. It's bracing." And he rips through and he has a set of barnacles in his hand and he just sort of looks at it and then, quite to your shock, goes and literally crunches into the barnacles and delicious, and tosses the rest into the water and then goes back to scrubbing. He says, so he does this, he says, "All right, you want to go to an island? I can probably do that for you. There ain't no one around here who's traveled more than me. What island is it?" And so you know this island, by the way, to be called, you didn't find this until you left, the Forbidden Island, quote. So that's the name you know it by, Barian.
So I say, it has one of those unfortunate names. I think they call it the Forbidden Island, and I have no idea why.
So the minute you say that, he turns to you and his other eye opens, because apparently he actually does have two functional eyes, and he looks to you and says, "The Forbidden Island? Do you realize what you're asking, laddie? The Forbidden Island is a place that no one will venture. There are places that people can go, things that people can see, but no," and he looks at you, "no," and he sort of catches sight of, do you keep like a lute or something? I should have asked this before, Barian, like on your back or something that, I don't know what your instrument of choice would be, or if it's just your voice.
The only instrument that I have on me in terms of equipment is a shaum,
Okay.
which is like a long flared wood instrument.
Right. Okay, so he sees that kind of like strung to your back, or not strung, but like, onto your back, hooked to your back, let's say. So he sees it and he's like, "You know, Bard, people like you make songs about those that survive trips to the Forbidden Island. Do you ken what you're asking me to do?" And he gets very close, and you can see now through his crooked and brown teeth and smell his barnacle breath as he sort of stares at you.
Far
And-
behind are we, the rest of us? How far are we in comparison to?
I would say close enough to maybe hear this happening, but like you sort of standing up, watching from a little bit of a distance.
Okay, so Banco's gonna interrupt for a moment. Just go. Well, he's a bard. He can. If you survive this trip, he will sing songs about it, and you'll be a hero. You'll be a hero, laddie. You'll be a hero
So,
for the all
as that-
here.
my hand on his shoulder and say, "You're not helping."
Go ahead, Varian.
So as that happens, I put like both of my hands on the sailor's shoulders, and like half grinning, I look him dead in the eyes and say, "Yes, songs, songs about you surviving, songs about you, one of the best sailors on this entire pair, taking a handful of dullards all the way across to the Forbidden Island and surviving. Songs with your name, with your barnacle breath all through them for the entire world to hear. And all I wish is to see the land itself."
So, other than barnacle
What say
breath, where
you?
he's like, he like takes it, he sort of looks. Make a persuasion check for me, please, Barian. I'm going to ask you to do this at +2. You know, in addition to whatever you would normally get. So, persuasion check
okay.
and an additional +2. Also, chat, inspirations do work here, so you could inspire players. But, of course, they haven't arrived at the island yet, so, you know. Anyway.
Sail for Infinity Beyond. Sail for Infinity Beyond.
We're looking at 20, so it's 11, but then an additional +2. Am I right about that?
I added the +2 to the bonus that I already had, which was +6.
Okay. So he kind of like looks in, and then he kind of looks in even further, and he says, "All right. I see." And he kind of looks around at all of you. "I didn't get to be as old as I am by taking dullards anywhere. But I appreciate someone who can remove barnacles from boats with ease. So, as you've scrubbed my boat clean, I will clear your path, as you might say. All right. For 12 gold, I'll take you across, but I won't go onto that forbidden island, mind. I'll keep my boat nearby, right offshore. When you come back, if you come back, I'll take you back. Otherwise, well, at least you'll have had a trip on the open waters." And he sort of looks at you and nods, and he says, 12 gold, and a good song, and a trip will be yours.
All I would ever ask my kind hero, and I tossed two gold pieces to him one time. And I signal, like, while still like looking right into his eyes, I just kind of like gesture to everyone behind me for 4 gold pieces. 6 on the way there, 6 on your song on the way back.
And he kind
Heartily sung all the way across the water.
he sort of says, "How many verses to this song?"
As many verses as there are fathoms in the sea.
And he sort of like, you could see him like mental calculus, and he's like, "All right then let's be off." And he immediately stands, uncurling himself just to normal height, and he just walks onto the boat, like you know, just sort of moves around, like not looking, you know. And he's surprisingly spry, by the way. And as he kind of, you know, gets the boat in place, as the boat hits the ground with the barnacles off, by the way, or hits the water, as he lowers it into the water, off of the hooks that it's been hanging off the side of the dock, you notice that the sail looks a little, how do I put this? In Gene's form, on modern day, they would call them distressed. There are slight, you know, the boat itself has a couple of slight imperfections, by which I mean boards that look like they're nailed together like multiple times and stuff. But he's like, and it's not the biggest boat,
Yeah.
but he says, he gestures and he says, "All right, get in, my hearties. The time has come for us." And then he bends over and lowers an eye. "To sail."
So what you're trying to say, Arv, is the boat has rustic appeal?
Yes, it's a real fixer upper.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of potential. This boat.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a.
It's never mint condition.
Sails more well used actually than more rustic.
Exactly. Okay, assuming everyone gets onto the boat, then you begin to make your. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Perdita, please.
I was talking to my mastiff, who had to be persuaded on board.
Ah, yes, that's right. Because you have. So I forgot about that. We have 5 plus a mastiff.
Y'all may
right?
not have noticed it before, but trailing me is one of the ugliest and biggest dogs that you've ever seen. Covered with scars, half an ear gone, and apparently he answers to Jaws.
Jaws, outstanding. I can think of nothing better on a boat
Nice.
going on the water than a dog named Jaws. So he actually didn't notice it either. And when Jaws is about to get on the boat, he kind of says, and he sort of like, I don't know whether or not a hound will be able to make this journey. Are you sure you can answer for him? Or actually her, I should say.
Fine. Lie down, Jaws. And Jaws lies down on the bottom of the boat.
Okay.
Speaking of dogs, is this doggy?
I think it's bigger, right? Is it,
It's a mastiff.
Okay.
Very large.
Very large. So this dog lies down and he says, all right then. And he kind of takes all of you in. We have several halflings. We have a tiefling warlock. We have a half-orc, a half-elf, and a big mastiff. And he kind of takes you all in and, all right then. I will begin to sail. And he looks back at you, Barian. You may begin the song when ready. And he sells the sails up, and with a big jerk as the wind fills the sail, we begin. All right, we're gonna spend the next half hour with Brandon singing to us. No, I'm just kidding. I won't.
Oh, God.
I won't actually make you sing. Okay. As you go along, you realize immediately that it's a good thing that you actually hired this guy, because for all of his sort of oddities, he does sail the boat with a practiced hand, and there are several times where it gets pretty choppy, and a few of you may feel a little uncomfortable about that, but he sails with no difficulty through all of this. And it takes only about an hour and a half or so, roughly speaking, just basically as the sun is down and dusk is approaching, that you arrive at this island. And you can make out from a distance, even in the dusk, this red beacon that Xavier described. As you get closer, you can see in the failing light that the island is lush with trees. And there is a decrepit boat slip without a boat, and what you believe to be a rooftop barely peeking through the treetops. So it appears that a small journey, probably 5 minutes walk if you had to guess, from the shore to the mansion is required. As your guide...
Very well, did we?
Sorry, go ahead, Milan. Say again.
I said we didn't plan this very well. Of course, we had to go ahead and land on the Forbidden Island at the beginning of night.
Timing,
when we
sometimes.
get back and when we do this again next time, let's leave way early in the morning and get here for like daybreak.
We leave at 11 a.m. on a May morning. Yes, this case not so much. So you arrive at the dock, and as you get off the boat, and the old man is looking up at you and says, "All right, I'll be waiting offshore, and I wish you best of luck and good speed. I enjoyed your song, Barian, but of course, you promised me that there would be some concluding verses. I expect the full director's cut on the way back." And he sort of...
Of course. This has just been half of the journey. The other half of the song awaits you still.
And he nods and...
I'm literally like now closing my book because like I was singing and writing at the same time.
With your handwriting all over the place because like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you do that, and you get off the dock. When you get on and step onto the dock, I would like everybody to make a perception check for me, please, when you step onto the dock.
Okay.
Or this is manual, so I'm gonna need some help here.
Oh, so for the... All right, let me...
What is 1d20 plus...
Give me 1 second whilst I'm addressing one other thing.
Charter
I'll
boat? What charter boat?
respond to that in just a moment.
I don't see the dock. I just kind of go straight over the side into the water.
you just fall directly. Yes.
I didn't even see the water when I landed in it. So yeah.
I guess it really is dark. Like it doesn't get much darker, right? Okay, give me.
The two halflings just collide with the water immediately.
You can see sploosh, sploosh.
Oh
Who's
no,
the
this
half-
this
the other half?
Bongo is nimble on his feet, so he's sturdy.
So, in answer to your question, the perception is based on wisdom. In case you're curious, Echo. So you could just do a wisdom check. Would also do.
15.
Okay. Let's see. So, yeah, you all weren't kidding. So let's see. Nailana is just kind of like, it's dark here. Perry is kind of like, what did I do with that ring? I don't remember. Like, you're very interested in making sure you don't lose your ring, Perry. I would say that, I don't think that Perdita sees this, although maybe. Probably the only ones really who sees this are Bonko and Barian. And you see that just as you're getting off the dock and beginning to walk up, there's like what looks like a faint trail leading from the boat slip up to what looks like it towards the house, pretty much. But just at the front of the path, I would say that both Barian and Bonko see something buried in the dirt by the dock. It's a small tusk or horn is protruding from the ground, and you can just see it in the darkness.
This looks like yes. Well, what do you think?
That's curious. I'm tempted to do a thing. I need to be reminded what fairy fire does.
That's used in combat, usually. But it's used to outline enemies that you fight and make them visible, and you then get advantage on attack rolls against that target if you are successful.
Right. I imagine that was not the source of light I needed.
Probably
which
not. It just
means-
wouldn't work unless this is an animate thing waiting to attack you, maybe.
Which means that instead I walk up to the tusk
Mhm.
and I kick it and wait to see if it does anything.
So when you kick it, your foot goes right, like the thing bends over. It looks like the horn or tusk is soft. In fact, you don't even feel it. I mean, you feel like you hit something, but it wasn't, like, gave it, like, practically no resistance. And it just
Okay,
bends
now
over and
I'm
pops
going
back
to-
up, like that.
Right. So now I'm going to thoroughly inspect it.
So you would have to pull it clear, because it looks like it's part of something a little bit bigger. Do you want to, like, dig it free and pull it out? Shouldn't take long, but...
Yeah, just clear out the dirt from around it with my hands.
After a
Pull it
minute,
out.
you pull free a small, pink, stuffed toy unicorn. It's dirty and weathered, and it's apparently been here for many years, if you had to guess.
Does it have a tag with a name on it, or did anyone leave any distinguishing marks at all
It does not
to
appear...
identify who it belongs to?
It does not appear to, but if you make... go ahead and make an investigation check for me, though, having said that. And
I
we will...
will. Investigation. I do not have.
So in that case, then I'm
It's
going to
intelligence, I think.
ask you to make... yes, that is right, intelligence. So I'm going to ask you to make an intelligence check then, please. Yeah, not that kind of unicorn, Echo. different unicorn.
I know nothing. I see nothing.
It's a
It is
stuffed
dark.
unicorn. It's a stuffed unicorn. Yeah. But you do know that it has been here for a while, for sure.
Does it feel stuffed with cloth or with something harsher or clackier?
Not harsher. Could be cloth, could be cotton. It's kind of lumpy, whatever's inside it now, but that could be from damp and kind of like exposure, you know.
Yet
and so
I
on.
imagine it is indeed very wet. I like wring some of the damp out of it,
Okay.
wipe off some more dirt, and put it in my pack.
Okay.
I don't know why anyone buried this, but it's mine now.
All right.
Fade
Because
up
it
a
was
little
all
bit.
full-
The light is fading. I don't want to spend time digging up any more children's toys. We need to get to the greenhouse.
And then we find out that the unicorn's full of midnight violet petals, and they're all being wet.
Damn it.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually
it's like
called
a-
Midnight Violet. That's the name, and it was no, not so much. Although actually, I just
That's
thought of the
wild.
fact that
Came from
Barion's
the
wringing it
unicorns.
out without gloves while this is happening. Like Barry just collapses, like suddenly convulsing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
without waiting for anyone else, I'm going to get to the front of this little group and start making my way up the path.
okay, the rest of you following Perdita?
Yeah, I'm going
I
to follow
follow
Perdita.
immediately.
Okay. So you make your way up the trail, and indeed, only about 5 minutes or so, you climb this not very difficult rise. You go through a couple of small areas of some overgrowth and trees, but not too much where you're going before the path opens up. The trees open up and reveal a magnificent stone mansion. You can tell that this was once a grand building, but many years of weather and neglect have, not unlike the stuffed unicorn, left it degraded. There is a wide set of stone stairs, which you can actually see on this map, that lead to two large closed steel doors. There's a plaque hanging on the door, and it reads Avrigard, Avrigard, Avrigard Mansion.
Is there anything I want to do a check to know if there's anything that I might know about the owner of this the family that formerly owned this mansion?
Indeed, make a history check for me, please, Barian. And that's intelligence
Okay.
if you don't have history.
I do have history.
How stoned is this mansion? Cute, Dragon.
I know nothing. It is dark.
I know nothing in this dark. Oh man, you're like someone lived in this place once. Like, you don't know. You've never really heard of an Avrigard.
I turn to the rest of the group and ask, is anyone familiar with an Avrigard family? Or any of the dealings in this area?
Any of you could make history
Start
checks.
one
to
word
that.
or two, Arvin.
Oh, one word.
Okay.
Avrigard. Yes, capital A.
Wasn't there a attorney named Avery?
Aviary, perhaps. Perhaps different though. No, but anyone who wants can make a history check on this one.
That's right.
Oh. I don't know the history of this place, so I'm not even going to bother. But I think we'd be better off going around and finding the greenhouse perhaps on the other side rather than going through this unknown house with whatever it holds.
How does the house, well, the manor, look from the front? Is it engulfed in thorns or something?
I think we're going to need to go through the house because the herbalist did say that they found the greenhouse in the courtyard when the previous group. So I think that, yeah.
We might
will
have
have to
to
go
pass through several spaces before we get to the courtyard proper.
Yeah.
Quite possible. Did anyone make
If
the
the
roll?
house
So
wasn't, if the house wasn't, could be perhaps a rooftop that was of glass. So maybe.
yeah, unfortunately, that's right. Although the roof itself of this looks to be, it is decrepit, but the roof is not stove in. You can still see that the roof is intact and does not look to be made of glass, unfortunately. Nelana has forgotten
So they will
her
be
own
getting a
name
chance to climb
and
it.
does not remember anything.
Yeah, I forgot history existed.
Exactly. Any of the rest of you, Bonko, before I get to that, actually, Perry or Bonko or Perdita can make history checks if they wish. Bonko, there's not a lot of ivy, and more importantly, and rather unusually, there are not a lot of windows on the second floor of this place for whatever reason, which seems odd. There are a couple of windows on this floor, but they are all shuttered and closed. Yeah, Perry, you're like, look, you know, I'm about
Make
modern
a history
day.
check, but
You know,
inside would be close to history, wouldn't it? No.
nope,
No,
because it's
so,
about knowledge, not about gauging someone, whether someone is telling the truth.
Yeah. So,
If someone told
So
you
it would
history
seem-
and you're like, that's some nonsense, that's from the alt-right, you could then make an insight check to determine that it was from the alt-right. But, you know.
yeah.
So what we've discovered is the name on this nameplate, Avrigard Mansion, has just wiped the knowledge of all of the past out of our brains.
You can think of nothing but Avrigard now. Everything is...
Yeah.
Right? We are all Avrigard. What's up, Nonstop? Good to see you, man. Okay, so Perry, is anyone else, Bonko or Perdita, are you all trying or not? You don't have to, but are you... No, Perdita's not, and Bonko. Okay, so yeah, Avrigard. It's just a place. So are you going to try to go through here, or are you going to do what Perdita said and try to work around the outside? Just from where you're standing, you can see that there are walls that go across and over. In fact, I could probably show you that on the map.
Oh, look, sort of, it's one of these things. What Perdita said could go ahead and potentially save us a lot of time if a wall has crumbled and it allows us to go ahead and move in, or we could waste some more time and it gets darker than what it already is. In doing so, it's one of those 6 of one, half a dozen the other. No right or wrong answer there, really.
I would say operating with moonlight is better than operating under the shelter of a broken down mansion. So outside might be best. Let's follow Perdita.
Were we told how long ago the last group was there?
You did not ask.
A damn blasted thing to do. Bloody hell.
Are you folks going are you going left or right, east or west around this place?
Let's go around to the east side first, since it will be in shadow first. That way, if it's on the west side, there may still be some light when we get to that side.
Logical, assuming everyone is in agreement with that.
I agree.
Sure.
All right.
Yes, sir. Good, sir. Right, sir.
So you make your way around to the eastern side of the house, and what you discover is that there are, again, windows along here, but they are all shuttered and closed. There's not many of them. There are one basically in the middle, more or less like there's one closer to the southern side of the house and one closer to the northern on the eastern wall. But otherwise, it doesn't seem to be a lot of obvious openings that you can see, or certainly no more doors. And when you get to the back of the house, which is, there we go, a little bit difficult to determine, but there we go. When you get to the back of the house, you can see the back of it as well. And as you sort of, assuming you continue to move around the back of the house, there is just this sort of forbidding wall of this mansion until you get to the back left, I guess the back western portion of it, where you find that there is something a little bit different. And that is that there is a lot of this rubble from what looks like a collapsed portion of the back part of the house. And let me show a little more of that as I go down. Okay, hang on just 1 second. I'll make sure that I am not revealing. Okay, not that area.
I'm seeing the main floor and the stairs on my web browser, but on the D&D on the stream window, I see only the stairs.
That is because I haven't brought everybody over there like this. Oh wait, that's true. Why is that happening? I wonder. Oh, I think I know. Oh, I don't know why, actually. Why is it doing that? Let me see. Set picture. Oh, okay. It was frozen because reasons. Sorry about that. Okay. So, that rubble in the background I want to mention. Because, when you get around to the back, you can see...
the midnight violet.
Okay. No, hold on a minute. Let me make sure that I've got my right area. Okay. Let's see. So, right down here on this side, you can see what looks like, although it's now, very dark. But you can see over the rubble down here, there is a wall right here, I should say, first of all, to the outside of the house. I'm just going to reveal a little bit because it makes it easier to be able to understand what I'm talking about. So this kind of extends all the way down like this. But right about here, the rubble is pretty high stacked, like the roof is clearly caved in here. And so you can see all the way down here that there's lots and lots of rubble, and you're able to make your way around it, but you don't think you're able to make your way up it. It's hugely piled very high up. And in fact, one thing that's a little weird to all of you is that this rubble is higher than you think just the collapse of the roof would create. That is to say, there's lots of stone and brick and so forth here, but there's more stone and brick than you think would just come from the roof having collapsed.
Is it possible to discover how this portion of rubble got here in the first place?
Possibly, but tell me what sort of thing you'd want to look for as you're looking at this rubble.
I want to look for any... I want to tell if the nature of the rubble can tell me what most likely caused this amount of damage.
Okay. I am going to ask you to make... Do you have, let's see... Do you have stone working or anything like that in your skills or proficiencies by chance?
I do not.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to make then... I'll ask you to make an investigation check on this. I'm going to ask you to subtract 2 from this one, though. So -2.
Okay.
We're still outside for now, aren't we?
Yes, still outside. Right now, I have you all outside the rubble here.
Yeah. Okay, so...
That's intelligence, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how does it
Okay.
look on the outside? Is it full of grass, stone?
Yes. There is... So the walls themselves look to be in pretty good shape until you get to the rubble. The rubble itself is actually...
And that's more to the surrounding area. It's more the surrounding area of the island itself.
Oh, I see. The area around it is, yes, there's a lot of high, sort of low to medium to high grass. There are definitely a lot of stones around the area. Barian, you know, from what you can tell, just sort of looking down and kind of examining it a bit, it's definitely damp. You get the impression that there's a fair bit of moisture on this island that kind of is almost like a drizzle, you know, a lot of time up here. But you don't get the sense as you're looking at it, you don't get the sense that this sort of rubble and sort of environment that you see here, the only thing you know for sure is that some of the rubble doesn't look like other parts of the rubble. It looks like it would have been, for want of a better term, brought from elsewhere. But you don't know where the elsewhere is or anything like that. But it doesn't look like the stuff that is closer to the house. Looks like the inner stuff is probably from the roof that collapsed. The outer stuff, you don't know. And then, just finishing up the quick tour, the front of this ends right back here, more or less where you left it. And again, I'm only revealing this parts to make it easier to understand what the wall is. So,
Mhm.
like that.
So I
Thanks, Johnny.
relay
Yeah.
the little bit of information that I have, that I managed to get about the rubble to the rest of the group.
Okay.
So, with what you have gone ahead and discovered there, Berian, do you think it's been put there as a defensive thing, or what?
The only
They
thing you know,
don't look
Barry,
like.
it didn't get there naturally, Barry, and I just wanted to say that's the only thing you know, as far as that's concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would be a very weird arrangement for a barricade. It looks far more likely that, however this happened, this was an attempt to destroy part of this building. Must have required a great deal of effort.
I was thinking, like, okay, being that with where it's sat there, like, they said there's a greenhouse in here. Is that a chance of someone trying to let more light in? I don't know. I was just, is it defending the place? I don't know anything about stonework or anything else. So, yes, you seem to have a good grasp of it.
No better grasp than you. I'm quite confused by it, in fact.
Okay, yep, we're both on the same page then. Excellent.
Anyone else
Well,
have any other pitches?
What I care about is, can we get in past this rubble, or should we keep walking around till we find another entrance?
Well, that'd
I
be the
start
thing.
climbing.
The defensive thing, like, if it's not so defensive, maybe we can, use it, as Perdita asked.
So the rubble is not only damp but high, and it's the kind of thing that looks like it's going to be like, even as you start to kind of try, it sort of slips and slides around a little bit as you're kind of going up there. Your sense, Perdita, is that if you tried to do it, might be difficult. The bigger concern is that it could also bring the rubble down on you. Like, you can see a world in which you slip down the rubble and then the rubble falls on top of you over it. And as you're sort of looking at that, Perdita, it strikes you, this rubble is piled, as I mentioned, very high. Almost certainly, and you would know this from your own background of having to defend places on purpose. Like, it was meant to keep people from climbing over it in this way.
Well,
All right,
can
well-
I do an acrobatics check?
To what? Acrobatically leap up the thing?
Yeah, because he is a halfling, so he's nimble on his feet, and being a monk, that gives him even more advantage.
You can
towards-
try. Be aware, though, Bonko, that if you were to fail this, there could be problems.
Consequences.
Yeah.
I am also already trying to climb.
Okay. All right. Well,
I
then.
know what my climbing ability is. I trip over on flat ground, so I am not going to try wet, slippery, fall down on me rocks.
Okay, so Barian and Bonko look like they want to make this effort. Perry and Perdita, are you going to do so, or are you going to stay with Neilana?
No, guys, you can scout if you want, but we can't all get in that way, so I think it's really best if we keep moving.
Okay. Go ahead, Perry.
I'm going to do a perception check from what everybody else has said. I want to see if this is like an actual trap.
Okay.
If this has been set up purposely to be a trap.
Okay.
It hasn't started yet, so right now he has observed that Baron has gone ahead and tried it.
And I'm going to have Barian make a
Not
check
fear
on
of
that
his
in a
life
minute.
at all.
Yeah.
So, and given the knowledge that has been told by the half elf in the inn, well, tower, wherever. Yeah. Something rubs Spunko in the wrong way.
Okay. So let me deal with Perry, and then I'll deal with Barian. Perry, if this is, traps. I mean, because friends of yours have involved themselves in these in the past. And if this is a trap, Perry, it is the most obvious, biggest trap of all time. Like it's not like you're looking at it and going, oh, you know, that could give way at any moment. You diabolical. I mean, it's a big, damp bit of dangerous looking, weighty, heavy rubble. So
It's meant to give way.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, yeah. Barian, I would like you. Oh, go ahead, Perry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if they're attempting to like start the climb, I'd be like, no. This is made to fall on you. This is to stop people from getting in here. It will collapse. It's meant to collapse. It not might.
If you break your leg before we even get in this place, I vote we all go home for the night and come back again, minus the broken-legged one, tomorrow.
But I tell them, it's not going to collapse. It's made to collapse.
Fair enough. That's a curiously... It's so obvious a trap that it makes so little sense to me to place it there. This is a very curious place.
It's ingenious.
I very gingerly remove myself from the rocks.
Okay.
Come back some other time and explore the mysteries. I'm just here to find this flower. So start moving around the side of the house again.
Okay.
Around the side again. I want to check out one of these shuttered windows. Are they shuttered from the outside or the inside?
Inside.
Fine. I like wrap a piece of cloth or something around my hand and just shatter one of the windows.
Sure. Go ahead and make a strength check for me, please.
Here's a right, man.
Yay. Flat 1d20.
What's the name of the region that we're in?
No, not so bad.
So, the good news is that your hand hits in and the glass shatters. The bad news is your hand also impacts something extremely strong and solid on the inside. These are apparently not only shuttered, but barred. You take a single point of damage as your fist is like, oh! As you punch this thing.
Cool. Alrighty, so these are not just shuttered closed on the inside. These are bolted and barred and yeah. This place is built to go in the front door, nowhere else. This is
a mousetrap.
This is a funnel.
Are these places certainly looking more, well, odd?
So it's the front door, and it's caution.
Well, I don't see... Alright, I say we just go through the front door, but perhaps one of us could see if there was a trap or something?
Well, we got to get round to the front door, and I said caution. So yes, if we can, I'm assuming if we're going to continue to the front door then or not.
May as well.
Then I will check the front door when we get there.
Okay, assuming that everyone is willing to do that. The front door, the doors are, as it turns out, as I mentioned, they're steel doors, and they are rusty and a little stuck. It looks like they probably aren't locked, but they definitely seem like they are wedged shut. So you're going to need a little bit of elbow grease, as they say, to release them.
I want to check for traps.
Okay.
First.
Go ahead and make an investigation check for me, please.
Oh, investigation. Oops, wait. That's one less than that, sorry.
So,
so
15?
15.
Yeah, it seems to you that it seems like there are not really any obvious wires or invisible tripwires or anything like that around it. But it also seems to you, as you're kind of looking around the outside and over and around the top of it, that anything that would have been here probably would have been tripped a long time ago. Like, it looks like the doors have been opened, although not recently. But it does look as if the doors have been opened, in the past where anything else in the front would have been already tripped and used. You're fairly confident that there's no trap on this.
Alrighty. So no trap here, but she's jammed good and closed if somebody wants to try and get it open.
Well,
Hmm.
wouldn't you have tried to pickpocket?
Well, it's rusted up. Although I guess would thieves' tools include something like a little bit of oil?
Maybe, but not
degreaser?
enough to be able to cover the because the entire edge of the door basically is rusted shut. So
Right.
not rusted shut, but wedged against each other. Probably more than your thieves' tools would handle.
This looks like a brute force kind of entry.
What? Those bunkers
Have a
sit
maul.
down and meditate.
MAUL.
You could do
I
that.
could just try and hammer the door down.
Does
Does anyone have a better idea?
Nope.
Nothing that I can do.
Lead the way.
neither.
Very well. I will attack the door with my maul.
Okay. So make an attack roll. It's not a difficult one.
Mistake. Got it.
Swing away.
Wing it hurts.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah, clang. So
Bam.
the doors go, poosh, they don't completely open, but they move a lot. You feel like one more shot like that would probably do it the rest of the way. Perdita. And fortunately for you, the doors seem to open inward.
That would be an important point.
Yes. Bash. And with that, the doors fly open, revealing, and if Trendain were here, he would say Blogothkus, which is a giant character we encountered, but that's not actually what you see. You do, however, see this. This, believe it or not, it says hidden door. That's super useful. That's super.
Yeah,
Aha!
thanks for that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just like, what?
Welcome to Resident Evil D&D with ARV edition.
Exactly. The hidden door, but there's a reason actually it says that. It's because it's very poorly hidden, as you'll hear in a minute. So give me just a second here.
Is that a chalk outline on the bottom of the stairs?
No, it's not. It's actually a skeleton.
Actual body?
What you see in here is
Much
the first thing
better.
is when this opens, you can see that you open the doors and the exterior light spills into a grand foyer. There is a thin layer of dust that covers a beautiful marble floor. There are trails of small paw prints which are seen in the dust, and a peculiar, unpleasant odor floats in the air. And right against, looking around the foyer, you can see that there is a door over here. These are 5-foot squares, by the way. So you can see a door is over here to the east, another door here to the west. There's a door here to the north. And then to the right, there is a grand staircase which leads to a second level and a balcony that overlooks the foyer. And at the bottom of the stairs here is lying a skeleton wearing leather armor. You can see all that without entering the room yet.
I think we found one of the
Peculiar
previous
bad.
people.
Sorry, the peculiar bad smell, is that rotting flesh, or can we just not tell what it is?
I will allow you to make a check for me. I'll take either if you have animal handling or if you have history. Either of those I'll accept.
Animal handling.
Let's go with that.
History doesn't exist. I established that before.
You're just like, there is nothing here in the least.
There is only the now.
Bonko has taken a peculiar interest in the body, so it's going to go on over there slowly due to the person's nature of the manner.
And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, Bonko, because that's going to be something that happens when you move through the door. Just very quickly, though, for you, Perdita, absolutely this smell is the acrid smell of urine. As if left by an animal. And Bonko, when you enter the door, when you pass by
the
sort of the doorway, you hear from your right this. A boy's voice says, "Hello, Mr. Tim Tom." And to your left, the voice whispers, "How are you today?"
What?
Does everyone hear that, or just?
Yes.
Let's hear that. That's Hans was.
Right. Well, none of us are called Tim. Let's keep going.
Yay, ghosts! We signed up for ghosts. I called haunted. They gave us haunted.
Okay. So I assume Bonko stops,
As-
right? And is kind of looking around for a minute.
For a moment, yeah, and says it is a child who takes a bit of a peculiar interest in the voice. So he replies back, "What? Who are you? What? Are you? What are you? Beyond the most obvious, perhaps a ghost, but show yourself."
You don't hear or see anything more.
Peculiar.
I
Floor very dusty.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
are
Very
there
dusty.
trails in the dust and grime?
There are. You can see paw prints, little paw prints that are in the dust.
Like
He
rat-sized
walks
paw
Stands
prints?
here.
Dog-sized?
Make a perception check for me, please, Perdita.
Well, watch this. And Banko's was gonna keep walking now towards the body.
Okay. Perdita,
Upon
almost certainly these prints are feline. Cat prints. And Bonko, when you get over to the body you said you were going to, right? Okay. So the body here, when you get close to the body at the base of the stairwell, you notice, Bonko, as you're kind of coming close to it, that the armor moves a little, rattles like.
this started very weird already, but this is something of the entirely different. And he just
Does it again.
and just taps it with his finger. That good.
As you tap it, suddenly the armor jerks, and leaping out from inside the armor is a hissing, scratching, and very large cat-like creature. I am going to make here. Now, not when I say very large,
What?
not as large as the Mastiff, but larger than a regular cat would be. Let's put it that way.
It's Maine Coon.
So bigger than a bread box.
It's bigger than a bread box. Yeah, very much so. Okay. That is, let's see. Bonko, 18. Is that going to hit your armor class by chance?
That is gonna hit over it actually by 16.
Okay, you take 1 point of slashing damage, and that happens, and then it immediately runs away, like bolts away to the wall, basically over here, where it's just sort of sits there going, hiss, hiss. Very much like a very large feral cat. Hiss, hiss, hiss.
All right.
That was creepy. But oh. And then as he completely he completely negotiates for the golden leaf tea. He'll take some out and just go, ah, come, Minerves. And he continues to inspect the armor just to see if what kind of damage there is, and if there's anything amongst the body.
The body is, as I mentioned, so the body is a skeleton, but you can see as you're inspecting it, there are gnaw marks that are on the bones, a number of them.
So there's no particular markings, or are they say there's sigils, nothing of identifying markers at all.
But there is something actually that you can see at the belt of this thing. There is a dagger. There is a set of tools, which, Bonko, you might be familiar with as being the kinds of things that, say, thieves might use on occasion, rogues might use. There are a few gold pieces, 30 gold, and there is what looks to be a hand-drawn sketch of what Xavier described to you as a midnight violet. Because he described to you what this thing was that you were looking for before you went. And this matches that description, this drawing.
Yeah. This looks like to be one of the members of the party that was here. I see. There's a sketch here. Is there a description of this what is it called? Oh, the violet, the meta violet.
Does it have any notes with the sketch?
No, just the
Tell
drawing.
more about it.
Just the drawing.
Hmm.
In a place like this, it is very dark and damp, and the temperature outside is all the drizzle. But this looks like an accurate description, I would say, perhaps. And they just pockets it, and then he takes the dagger, because as soon as there's a normal dagger, there's nothing specific about it. So
Doesn't seem to be.
Huh.
The armor itself looks to be in pretty good condition, but it's, other than that, there aren't markings on it or anything of that sort.
You pesky rogue. There's some tools here that might seem to be of interest to you. I just want to come up and look.
I moved nearby to because you said that we could partially see the door by the staircase.
Yes. There's
Right.
something, yeah, which is like, and it looks sort of, it almost looks slightly ajar, almost, Barian, as if that's partly why you're able to see it.
To you, Perry. Perry.
So you're gonna, okay, so Barian is moving over to that door, I believe, right? Okay, so you're able to move over to the door, and as you look at this thing, give me 1 second while I'm sort of checking my notes. As you look at this thing, you can see indeed that the door is slightly ajar, and this one on the inside is actually wooden, and it's swollen with water and damp, so that it's slightly ajar and also kind of like, how do I describe it? Bowed, like slightly, bowed out, basically, from the damp of it. And it seems to be that there's something either locking or closing it. You could smash your way through it, probably, if you tried, but it would definitely be something like that. It doesn't look like it's easy to open. There's not even really a handle. There's something you'd have to, like, sort of grab around the edge and kind of, like, rip at it or bash it from the outside.
So is it possible then for me to, like, essentially grab the edge of this door and just yank it?
You can try, sure.
I will do that.
Okay. I would like you to make, if you have athletics, I'll take that. Otherwise, just a strength check would be nice.
I have athletics.
Okay, and unfortunately, this is one that only one of you can do at a time because it's a pretty small door, so you can't have them. There's not enough people to grab, around the outside, not enough room. Hey, Kilgore.
Ooh, 16.
You give it a really good pull, and it doesn't budge at all. You just hear kind of a, and that's it, like just a slight creak, and that's it. This thing is wedged, or really, really swollen against the water.
Personally doubt that there's a courtyard greenhouse hidden under the staircase, so I'm going to go to the door against the wall here and listen to it first.
Okay.
Listen at the door.
Sure, go ahead and make a perception check for me, please. You don't hear anything, but one thing that you do note, Perdita, is that the temperature of this door is cooler than the room that you're in.
There's something weird about this door. It's cold. I call to the group.
Greenhouses don't tend to be,
No.
but a lot of this house is already strange as it is.
Depends what you're
True.
growing.
But then if a greenhouse gets too hot, they do need to cool it.
Also true.
Hold on a moment. What else do you see?
Also, how is the cat responding to?
The cat is retreated
I'm here, and the cat is still in the corner, as far as I know.
and still hissing, like trying to back up, like.
Right, I am not looking at the cat. I'm just looking at the door.
Okay.
It should not
Funny
feel
old-
too threatened.
Okay.
If only I was an illusionist, I could go ahead and summon a red dot and then run it around the place and have fun with the cat.
Some of that little red dot.
Oh, cute. I see what you did there.
Ah.
Let's see.
Well, what happens? Bongo is just going to inspect the
Wow,
place.
that's quite okay. I was worried that button.
I love doing that. It's like this.
Like, geez, if it's not quite as big as the Mastiff,
Saber-toothed
how big
tiger.
is the Mastiff?
Well, that's why the Mastiff's still outside.
Yeah, the master's like. Oh man, hey, what's up, Digiberto?
The reason we didn't realise it was a Mastiff was because Parabol went ahead and rode in on it, and we just assumed that it was a horse of some strange
Just
degree.
run over this place. But yeah, so that's what the cat is doing. So I'm sorry, Perdita, you said you were doing what as you were in the process of, other than listening?
Oh, I'm not looking at the cat.
Okay.
I kind of have my back half turned to it, so it should not feel too threatened.
Okay. It seems to feel threatened regardless, but that may just be its default state.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a closer look at this cool door.
Okay.
Bongo's going to go over here and inspect alongside the staircase, because a man like this must obviously have something hidden.
I might
yes.
try to yank the door again.
Yeah, that's where Barian is standing, trying to pull at that thing. So you're able to go over Bonko and see that thing. Perry, that door definitely feels it's definitely colder, and it is unquestionably a door. You've seen doors before, and this definitely fits the door description.
The door. The curse of the door.
Okay. I'm going to ask Bonko, and then we're going to try this to see what you folks are doing about the cold door, if anything. Bonko, you see Barian has been pulling at this door, which is, it looks like at some point, I should say, Barian, it probably was concealed, but because it's ajar, it's been, it's now exposed to the elements and whatever, so it looks like it's been a little while since it was in its, default position, like many things here.
An absolutely silly question, because again, I haven't played D&D in quite a while. What will happen if I cast Mending on a door this like warped?
It's probably what would happen is you would repair some of the cracks in it, and you might slightly reduce its size, but you probably wouldn't repair it all the way, because it's not really broken as much as it is twisted, and kind of like so it's more repairing cracks, and there are a few cracks in it which mending would presumably fix.
I'll just try to yank the door again then.
Okay, make one more strength check for me, and yes, Nilana.
Looking up to the roof of this place, are there sconces for lights to go ahead and be on torches that could be lit to illuminate this area better?
There are sconces, but there are no torches in them. But yes, you could theoretically, if you had torches, you could put a couple out and light them if you wish. Yes.
You don't have
Is
dark
there any-
vision? I do.
I do,
I do.
but I don't know about everyone else. That's all.
No. No, not as a halfling. I don't think so.
I don't think we have it.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the balance?
So no luck burying it all in that door. Unfortunately, same problem.
Can I squint through the space that is available to see what might be in the room, and in particular what might be jamming it?
Yes, sort of. If you sort of look, because it's kind of warped so that you're trying to pull it from the left side, and when you kind of look around, you can just kind of like work your head up to like look down this sort of crack, and you can see what looks like some kind of wooden bar of some kind that's on the inside of it. So again, it looks like there's a sort of almost like a 2x4. I mean, it's not that wide, but that's kind of blocking it from the inside. As far as what's there, it looks like if you could see that it might be a set of stairs leading downward. It looks like it's a hallway, a small one, not a room that you can see from here.
I turn to Perdita primarily, but I'm addressing the entire group when I say, this looks like a route downward. If we can ever get this door to move. You're the one with the big hammer. Would you like to do us the honors?
I think it's a waste of time. People don't put greenhouses in the basement. And I go over
the plant
and
needs
check
to grow.
this door and see if it too is cold or weird or has noises behind it.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check for me over there.
It's a door.
It's a door, but you are able to determine one thing, and that is that there is that the door itself is not unlike the door that Barion's been pulling at for a while, slightly ajar as well. This one does not look warped though.
Right.
So the door Barion's working on, the warping is enough that he could see the bar on the inside of the door.
Barely, but yes.
So that would probably be wide enough to slip a bit of rope with a little hook on the end out of the thieves' tool to try and lift the bar.
No place to be able to get purchase on it though. He's only seeing it, remember, from the side. Sorry, they are only seeing it from the side. So you would have to, you can't like drape the hook down. You could maybe try to, I don't know, pull, but there's no place to grab onto it, if you see what I mean. Like there's no even real place to, even if you could slide it in, you'd have to somehow figure out a way to kind of hook it on and then pull the bar, and the only way to pull it from the little room you have would be to the side, which wouldn't do any good. This feels like something that has to be pulled up, if you had to guess, and there's no real easy way to do that.
Okay, so all right, no way to get over the top of the door with
Exactly. Although it does look to you as if either someone may have tried to force this before. That may explain why it's ajar at all in the first place. But it's subsequently been barred after that, apparently.
I want to investigate something.
Okay.
I want to go over to this door here. The cold door from earlier.
Yeah. The one right up here. Yes.
And I'm trying to determine how cold whatever is this door, whatever behind this door is, and whether it could have caused the damp that is affecting, among other things, that this other door.
Okay.
If that's maybe if I'm trying to determine if that is cold enough that something like unnaturally like below zero might be in that other room.
It does not seem, even without a perception check, I can tell you that it does not seem that cold. It's definitely colder
Right.
than the surroundings, noticeably so, but not like sub-zero temperatures.
Does it have like a keyhole or any other?
It does not, but it does have a handle.
I try to open the door.
You are actually, without difficulty, able to open it. And when you open it, you find yourself looking at a magnificent...
Ice golem.
a magnificent ice golem with its fist magnificently heading towards your face. No. You find yourself looking at a magnificent bedroom. Oddly, this room is much colder than the others. Sorry, I revealed a little too much there. There is a door, though. It's colder than the others. And in the middle of the room is a grand four-poster bed with gold-colored curtains that you can see right over here. And the curtains are closed all around. Over on this side, you can see there is a dresser and a chest of drawers that are on each side of the bed, basically, or on the left side, I should say, on the west side of the bed. And standing on one of the dressers is a small, intricately carved wooden cup and a silver hairbrush that you see there.
Search the chest of drawers.
Okay. When you walk into the room, Barry, and you go over to start searching, and where's everyone else, by the way, at this point? Because I know that Perdita was right there. Are you in the room, out of the room, like looking from the room, from the door?
Let's
Perdita?
join John Allen said it and inspected alongside.
So I'm just looking into the room.
You're looking into the room. Bonko is joining Barry, and I think is what you said, Echo? You're joining. Okay. Perdita, are you in the room or looking from the door?
Looking from the door.
Okay, and Perry, where are you?
Doorway-ish.
Perry, where are you?
Well, I was just looking at the hidden door, so they've moved. I suppose if you saw him open the bedroom door, I'd definitely head over there to look in
Okay.
the cool room.
So as you start looking at this stuff, as you start looking at these things that are on the dresser, you suddenly are aware, Barian, that there is a little movement of cold breeze or air. And all of you looking through the door or standing in the room notice that the curtains on the side of the bed begin to move.
Oh,
Out slide two ethereal blue legs. The feet drop to the floor, and a human woman in her late 30s steps out. She is ethereal blue and does not notice you. She walks to the dresser, reaches for her silver hairbrush, which is like right next to where you are, Barian. So like, and as she reaches for it, you feel as it passes through your hand, or I don't know if you like jerk your hand back immediately, or if I should ask you that first. Do you jerk your hand back, or?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. You feel a cold chill, a cold damp chill pass through your right arm, assuming that it's there, sort of looking at the brush, as her ghostly arm passes through it. And when she reaches for this hairbrush, you notice that it passes through her hand. So she like reaches for it, and then she begins to brush her light blue ethereal hair. And as you're watching, she appears to be unaware that she's not holding the brush. And she's ignoring you, Barian, as she looks in the mirror and is brushing with this phantom brush.
I turn to everybody else at the door and go, "Ghost! Ghost!"
You're a song. You know, you're as cold as us. Willing to sacrifice the bard.
Stop singing! Stop singing! Ghost! Ghost!
She loves it. Serenade her. Warm her cold heart with your love. Do it.
And this is like, as this is happening, this is the moment when I realize that she's not paying attention to me or anyone else in the room.
Right.
Embrace her. I hear she's moist.
I
Quick,
think
go.
I think she's replaying something. I think this is like a moment of her past, maybe. Some element of routine, perhaps. She obviously isn't noticing the rest of us.
She then, as you're saying this, Barian, she then puts, well, her hand down as if she's letting the brush go, like putting it back in the same spot, even though she was never holding it. And then she turns, looks at the door. Now, she's looking at something in the door, but those of you in the door note that she doesn't seem to be looking... How do I put this? It's every Zoom call these days. She's not looking right at you. You know what I'm saying? She's looking slightly
Looking through
off.
you.
Yeah. And she says, "You there. Where have you been? It seems like I've been calling for help forever." She puts her hands on her hips. "I need you to find Roland. Tell him he needs to get out of the study and come back to bed. He's been spending far too much time in there, and I miss him. Now, the last ones of you that I sent to find Roland never returned. I don't know what they're up to. They'd better not be sneaking into his brandy collection, for that will upset Roland very much. Now go forth and do what I say. Go, let's go." And then she turns and picks up the phantom brush and begins to brush her hair again.
I leave the room. And I'm staring right at like my glance is like flitting between Nilana and Perdita as I'm going haunted mansion filled with poison grass that we've been sent to collect all on our own. We did not get paid enough for this, and I go to make it all the. I go to walk up the staircase.
Okay.
Can I make a medicine check? You said she was blue. Can I make a medicine check to see if that blue is just a product of being sort of incorporeal, or is she not of a race that represents one of us, and maybe it is a race that is actually blue? I don't know. But can I make a medicine check?
I don't actually even think you would need to make a medicine check for that. I think that you're able to tell that this is probably, it looks almost really kind of ethereal in quality, as if you're looking at someone or something which is very ghostly, let us say.
Yep.
And she looks human to you, or definitely not normal human, ethereal human, but she looks like she was probably human to you if you had to guess, Nilana. Though it could be an illusion, that's certainly possible.
Yep.
Exactly, the phantom brush, yes.
Does it seem to have been affected at all by this manifestation?
I'm sorry, does what seem to be affected by this
The
manifestation?
cat.
Oh, the cat doesn't seem to notice, no. But the cat, of course, is outside on the, may not even notice. But no, the cat doesn't react at all, other than just continuing to hiss at anything that's near the door.
Feeling sorry for the cat, so I cut a little piece. I have some meat in my belt pouch, and I cut a little piece and throw it to the cat.
Okay. So you do that, and it kind of like hiss, and then it sort of like sniffs at the meat and like paws at it, and then like ravenously consumes it, and then stops hissing, but like hackles still raised.
Well, they have most omnis.
Oh, being that woman, or once was a woman, is not acting aggressively or anything like that. Seems to be on her own oblivious path. I want to step into the room and have a look at that door.
Okay. When you look at the door, let's see. So that door. So you're just going to make you want to listen to it, or just open it, or what may be the case?
I'm just going to open it. I'm not a thief. Or
Yep, the door opens.
servant.
Door opens with no problem, and what
Yep.
you see is, make sure I got that good. What you see basically is a vanity. Essentially, looks like some kind of sort of. I guess you might say sort of a almost looks like a desk with a mirror, and there seems to be some kind of sink in it with a faucet, which looks somewhat rusted, and there are two what might have at one time been silver but are now terribly tarnished handles on either side of this sink.
So this was very much a very opulent mansion. And
Very much.
Wow. Yeah, can I have a look inside of that desk to see if there is anything left in the vanity?
Sure. When you open it up down below, you see two things. First of all, there are a number of small little bones that are all seem to be piled up and gathered here. And you also see a number of paw prints in here, and a very strong smell of urine in here.
Okay.
Bones.
Okay, well, yeah, if nothing jumps out at me like that, sort of maybe... Is this room warmer than the other one?
A little bit. A little bit, yes. The other thing, too, which I should mention as well, is I think I talked about this, but there is, on this dresser, there's that hairbrush. There's also a wooden cup. I think I mentioned the wooden cup, but if I didn't, I wanted to mention that there is one. Yeah.
You did.
Okay.
I just want to repeat that I went up the stairs.
Yes. Thank you. So, when you go up the
Let's go here.
stairs... I'm sorry, say again?
Bunkers us down to the western door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also jammed.
I am going to talk to Barian about this, and then I will have you do a perception check at that door for me, unless you're just opening it, Bonko.
Yeah, I'll open it.
Okay, so I will talk about that in just a moment. But what we have here is hopefully not a failure to
What we have here is a peculiar manner.
A failure to communicate. Okay. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Wanted to make sure I got to the right spot. Okay. So, here are these flight of stairs, Barian, that you were ascending, and you'll be able to see them below you. Below where your position is, that the rest of the map is. I'll bring us all down there in a second. And over here, you can see there is the balcony, which overlooks the area down below. Okay. So you can see that is right here. And on this second floor, as you go up to this area, you notice that there are two cats that are sitting with their heads peeking through the balcony railing here and here. And when you get up to the top of the stairs, they immediately zip off somewhere. Down this hallway, actually. Over here. And you can see here that there are a few things of note. First of all, there are two doors. The two doors that you can see to the east. And up to the north, you can also see, just make out another little door up here.
Okay. I am going to try the door right in front of me, but um, somebody else Bonko had a thing that also wanted to be done.
So we will head back to Bonko, but we're going to have you try that door in just a moment. Meanwhile, Bonko down here, when you open this door, Bonko,
May I suppose that once when we entered the door into the manor, this played off. Oh, come on.
which thing?
That's the rhythm of the
Sorry.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah, yes. Exactly. No. Okay, when you open... No, unfortunately, you do not get that. But what you do find is when you open this door, you find a small room in here, Bonko. This room contains several easels, and it's holding... The easels are holding what look to be unfinished paintings. There are dried paints along the bottom of each of these easels, and old rotten brushes. And you can quickly see that although the pictures are incomplete, it's obvious that the artist was an expert. Like, this is not just kind of, someone put something together and they draw on the side once in a while. This person obviously really knew what they were doing, even though the paintings here are unfinished.
How much was it? Was it in bed, or was it barely painted on?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of that. Say again.
Was it incomplete? Was it half complete? Was
Incomplete.
It,
So a lot of the paintings are unfinished. Some of them look like they're half complete. Others look like, and there's not a lot of them, but there's maybe like 3 or 4. So two of them look basically incomplete. Another 2 look like the outlines are there, but they're not colored in all the way. Like they all basically look like they're in various stages of completion. And most of these paintings do appear to be portraits, although the faces are very hard to kind of make out because it looks like they had yet to get to the details of the faces that were there. Perry and Neilana and Perdita, where are you folks going to head? And then I'm going to ask Barian about that door up top.
I'm wandering out of the vanity area and going to have a look at this dresser because we've still got that brush and cup and see if there's anything in the drawers.
Okay. There is nothing in the drawers, but there is, of course, this cup. The cup seems to be empty, although there's a little bit of an odd, still drifting odor about it. I'd ask you to make, please. I'll take medicine if you have it. Otherwise, investigation would work, Nilana.
I have medicine.
Okay.
There we go, 20.
When you sort of smell this a little bit, you get a faint whiff of what you're pretty confident is a kind of variety of nightshade. This cup was poisoned.
Oh, okay.
I mean, long ago, obviously, but...
A thickened plots.
Mm-hmm. Perdita and Perry, where are you two headed?
To go open the lower east door.
Okay, and Perry?
I was going to go open this door.
Okay. Let's start with Perdita. This door, as I mentioned, was already a little ajar, and when you open it, you see that there are books and papers scattered about the room here. They lie haphazardly on the floor and the desk. Some books are open yet upside down, and it looks as though someone came in and shoved the books from the shelves, is really the way it looks to you. Several paintings of a man or woman with a small girl and older boy hang lopsided on the walls. And I should say several paintings. Sometimes they are, a couple of them are men, is a man, and a couple of them are a woman. Hang lopsided on the walls or lay on the floor just below where they once hung. All of these paintings, Perdita, have been slashed. There's a chair which sits in the middle of the room facing away from you, turned so that it is viewing the only painting that has not been vandalized or moved. The painting in question is of a beautiful human woman and a young, half-elven, you would guess, girl, about 8 or so. The two are in swimwear. They're sitting on a beach with their legs tucked into their chests, and they're smiling at each other. The woman's outstretched hand caresses the girl's smiling face, and you sense love. Indeed, a small brass plate at the bottom of the picture frame reads, in common, true love.
Does the woman in the painting look like the ghost in the bedroom?
Yes.
Still, I'm hunting for a flower, so I'll go on to the next door.
Which is up to the north. When you
Yep.
get
Hey,
close... yes?
Sorry to interrupt there. With the discovery of like the poison in the cup with the nightshade,
Yes.
I'm going to be taking my gloves out of my herbalist kit and saying, well, touching anything could be dodgy at
Gotcha.
this time. So
Good
yeah,
thought.
I'm gloving up.
Gotcha. Okay, you can do that. Let me just talk about what happens when you go towards that door, and then I'm going to come back to Perry, and then I'm going to come to Barian. So when you walk towards the chair to get past it to go to the door, Perdita, you notice that the chair was once exquisitely crafted, upholstered. You know, at some point it must have been really gorgeous and expensive, but it now appears to have been slashed several times, not by blades, but by something else. And in the chair, there is a skeleton of an elven man. His clothes are torn away, and gnaw marks cover his bones. He is picked clean of all flesh, but what was left of the skeleton appears to be staring at the picture hanging on the wall, and in his lap rests a piece of faded parchment paper.
Can I read the parchment without taking... Can I read anything on the parchment without taking it out of its hand?
I would say so. If you kind of
Okay.
lean around and look at it, sure.
Yes.
So here is what you find. First of all, you find apparently a lot of blank paper. I don't know why my printer decided to print this way, but hold please. Fortunately, I have the PDF of this too. I wondered. I was like, wow, that printed really quickly. I guess that's what happens when you only print half of it. All right. So yes, here's the note that you read. I write this knowing that these will be my last words. Even now I feel the madness digging in deeper, clawing at my mind. My dearest Eloise, you've escaped this wretched house and I am thankful. I regret not tucking you in the other night when you asked. My love is eternal, my little doll. Adriana, I am sorry that I was too late. The madness took hold of you quickly, and in turn it took your life. We will be together soon, my love. Herbert, my beautiful boy, I am sorry that your ambitions and dreams will never be realized. Know that I don't blame you for what happened. It wasn't your fault. You didn't know. The shame and horror of what I had to do will haunt me even in the afterlife. That fiend was feeding off of you. His magic cursed all of us. I am sorry, my son, so very sorry. And so, it is my time to atone for what I've done and not done. I will sit and enjoy my last moments with a goblet of fine brandy and the loveliest of views. Be free, Eloise. I pray that you never return to this forsaken house. And then the initials, R.A.
Okay.
Rupert A.
So I am not going to go through that other door after all. Instead, I'm going to come out into the common area and relay this information about the curse to everyone else. Just shout it out to anyone who's listening.
Okay, and I would say all of you
And I
hear
shout
that.
from,
Yeah, go
Did
ahead.
I shout down from the balcony. Of course, it's a curse.
You hear the voice echo of Barry in the frustrated voice. Of course, it's a curse.
Did you say caught him feeding upon you?
Yep.
Have we got ghosts and vampires?
Some kind of were creature. I don't know, with these big slashes. So it sounds like the boy turned into some kind of monster, and only the girl escaped.
I shout back downstairs. Maybe it's these damned cats.
It's okay. They only attack people when they're separated from everyone else. We're fine.
With that, I continue to gingerly open the door in front of me.
Which I'm going to get to in just 1 sec. Perry, I'm going to jump to you quickly first, though. Do you change your plan after you hear this, Perry, or are you just going to continue to open that door in front of you?
Oh, no, I'm going to open the door.
Okay, and I'm sorry, you were opening this western door here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about that, Barry, and then I'm going to come to the door that you're going, and I am paying attention to the time, players, just in case anyone's curious. I have not forgotten. Okay. So when you open this, what you find is, as I frantically sort through these other things, okay. There are several chairs. First of all, you note that there is rubble, a lot of rubble that's kind of up here and then sort of like falling down here, but it's, you know, off to your north, basically. So you can see that, Perry. It doesn't look like it's going to come crashing down on you, although it doesn't look super stable right near it, you know, right near the pile. But from where you are, you were able to see that there are several chairs and loungers which are surrounding a coffee table in the center of the room, basically right around here. And there's a copper bowl sitting on the table, and it holds 3 small rocks that supply a dim yet tranquil light, kind of a yellowish light almost. A short stack of books also rests on the table. And there's a strong smell in here of urine.
Oh, he's marked everywhere in here. All right. Should I have a look at the stack of the books? Are the titles on the spines?
There
Can I have a look
are.
what they are.
You find several books. Filthy Halflings, Take My Moneymaker, Understanding the Gnomish Language, and several other books that seem to relate to cities of gnomes, gnomes and their culture, and something about the superiority of gnomes. And as you just kind of quickly sort through them, they all seem to be written by the same person, which refers to this very involved title, which seems to maybe break down to, you think the last name is something along the lines of Coppergear, but it's a little hard to tell because it's hard to tell where a sentence ends and where the name begins. It is overwrought, let us put it. I'm sure none of us here have ever had the experience of reading anything academic, like, for example, your Dungeon Master, which was slightly overwrought. Just a bit, you know, bit of a try hard, you know.
All right. I will pocket the glowing stones.
Okay.
And then I'll head down to this next door.
Okay, and opening that up, assuming that you open it, yeah, you find yourself again looking at Bonko, who is right now looking at a bunch of unfinished paintings on eagles. Not a bunch, I should say, about 4 unfinished paintings on easels. And that's where you see. Barian, let me jump up to you. You are opening a door, I was told. Which one, gingerly? The one in front of you, right? You think you said?
Mm-hmm. The one right in front of the staircase.
So when you open this up, you reveal what appears to be, if you had to guess, let me pull this up here like this, what appears to be some kind of an elevator to the lower level. The mechanism is currently lowered, and there's a series of pulleys above, and there's a rope which hangs from the wall, so that you think if you pulled on the rope, it would actually raise and lower the mechanism.
I pull.
Okay, so when you pull it, you notice that it seems kind of heavy, and you're able to do it, but it's heavy, and you notice that the elevator is kind of like it's jostling back and forth. It's not rising smoothly, basically.
Is there any way to like observe like the pulleys that are used to pull it up to see if like something is caught on the rope or something is like stuck between one of the mechanisms?
Yes, and
as
actually,
I'm still pulling.
Yes, and in fact, because the pulleys are actually from where you are, they're pretty close to you. There is not. Whatever's jostling this thing around seems to be inside the elevator.
If I have to kick a cat, like I'm calling this downstairs, if I have to kick a cat, this is not going to be pleasant, but I think this elevator gets us to the other side of these rooms. And like I'm still pulling up until it arrives to me.
Okay.
And I draw my rapier and gingerly open the door. The elevator doors.
Okay. And as soon as you pull it up, so you pull it up all the way, and there is indeed like a set of wooden doors that close it. And as you pull your rapier, it's probably a good thing that you do that, because pulling open the door, you hear a inside. And as you pull open the door, you suddenly see this, which I'm going to pop up on stream. And it looks like that.
Yeah.
The door opens, it pulls open the rest of it, and then, looking at you, its impossibly long tongue rolls out at you, revealing sharp teeth.
And an innkeeper.
And it leaps at you. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to have what will probably be our only combat of the evening. I'd like you all to roll initiative for me, please. And,
Yo! And I'm shouting downstairs, not a cat! Not a cat!
Not a cat! Not a cat! By the way, with the minute that you yell, the cat, like, you notice, anyone who's on the first floor notices the cat that's been hissing, like, darts out of the southern door, like, out of the double doors in a way. Okay, give me some music.
Initially, but I get to add my dex modifier to it.
Your dex modifier, that's correct. Yep. I think we're looking at this. Add to game. Let's do it. There we go.
I have to drop out because I don't see the picture on my browser. I see it on stream, but not my browser. So.
Okay. Well, let me just double check and make sure. There we go. It should be there.
Of course it's 20.
Okay.
If this creature rolls better initiative than me and Wenchkin, I will get really mad.
I love the fact too, because it's sort of the I'm really freaked out, like like you're like I am ready, like I am not.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
The panicked first stab.
Absolutely. Okay, Wenchkin, that's the 13 I believe I saw.
Yep, that was my...
Perry, you're enjoying the art, right? I mean, like, that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Bonko, whenever you can, I know, Echo, you said you're working on it. Just give me a roll when you have one, when you have a chance.
Is that initiative?
Yes, initiative, please. Sorry, it's a little... let me turn that down. That's better.
Only 20 plus.
You don't need the cat. The cat is not food.
Intermediate bring my dragon 1d20 plus something. What? Something.
Plus dexterity modifiers. What we're looking at.
13.
Okay. What is your raw dexterity score, please, Bonko? Just your dexterity
18.
score by itself. 18, you said?
Yes.
Nailana, what's yours?
My raw dex score is 15.
Okay. So that means that Bonko is going to be going before Nailana. Okay, and Perdita is going to be going before both of you. And Perry will be, sir, not appearing in this initiative round until much later. And, okay. And let's see what the bad guys are going to be doing as far as that's concerned. Okay. There we go. There's that.
Look, the sky is rising.
Okay. We are looking at that. So we're talking about this. Okay. Right. And that is this. Okay. Right. Got it. Okay. Let's go to the top of the round, starting with Barian. Barian, you are first to act. This thing is leaping at you.
I respond to just the visible sight of the thing by immediately trying to like pierce it in the face/neck area with my rapier.
Pierce it in the face. All right. I love it. In that case, I'm going to ask you to make an attack roll on this thing, please.
It says that my rapier's melee weapon attack is +5 to hit.
That sounds promising. So roll d20 plus 5. Also, Yuma, I wanted to say I have been looking at yours on occasion, but because I'm running this, I haven't been able to respond. I think people have been focused on game stuff, but okay.
Indeed.
Wow,
Whoa!
the crit hit.
Oh, nice.
You're like, kill it dead. Okay.
Nice.
So the way that
I
run
am
things-
very panicking right now.
yeah, absolutely. So the way that this works is that when we roll critical hits in my games, that does max damage, and before people get too excited, that means they can max damage you too. But it means it's going to be max damage. So whatever your normal damage would be from that rapier, which it should say on the sheet, you're going to.
It says 1d8 plus 3.
Okay, so then 11 maximum. So there you go. It's going to do 11 damage. So you like pierce it and like right basically almost through the throat, and it's like it seems really, really angry, as if it wasn't angry before. Are you going to move now? It's basically engaged with you right now, Barian, which means you could try to basically take a step back to like, because you're standing here. These are 5-foot squares. You could try to step back or over if you wish 5 feet without creating an attack. But if you go farther than that, you're going to create an attack of opportunity as it slashes at you as you try to run away. So you have a movement available to you. It's up to you if you want to use it to disengage 5 feet or run and take the risk that it'll hit you as you run.
I do want to disengage 5 feet, but I don't want to come to the direction of the stairs. I want to come to the direction of the balcony.
Like, as in, let's say...
I want to take the 5 feet to the side.
Oh,
to,
okay, sorry,
my
this
left.
way. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, absolutely we can do that. Normally
Still,
we would have...
like, very vividly keeping my eye on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and normally we would actually have figures and stuff like that. For the sake of time, we didn't do that today. Okay, sounds good. So you're jumped over to the left. Perdita, you, on the other hand, you heard this screaming of not a cat running down the stairs. So you can try to make your way up if you wished. What do you want to do?
So I go charging up the stairs.
Okay, 5, 10, 15. Let's see. 20. I would say that you could actually probably get to it. Well, actually, what's your movement? Let me check that first. You have 25 or 30?
Hang on. 30.
30. I would say that you probably actually, let's see, because it's probably standing in the door. So if you're going up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You probably would be able to get here, Perdita. You could either you could basically throw something at it, or you could essentially attempt to charge at it, which in this context would mean that you'd be using one of your moves as an attack. The only issue with
Reach.
charging is that you're... Well, that's true, too. I don't know what kind of weapon you're using. What weapon how big is that maul?
It has a reach of 10 feet. Will that...
You have a
Get me
10-foot...
there?
You have a 10-foot maul?
No, my halberd.
Oh, your halberd. Okay. Sure. That's fine. I didn't realize that you had a halberd and a maul. Okay, so you sling the thing at your belt. Yes, that would work then. So you can stab it from the top of the stairs.
That's
Yeah.
Stabby, stabby.
But before I do that, actually, I'm going to use my bonus action to speak a vow of enmity against this foul creature, which
Ooh.
gives me advantage on attack rolls.
Sounds good. This thing seems to be mutual. It seems to have enmity towards you, too. As it sees you.
Okay, this is the first one, and the second one is 16 good enough?
16 will hit. Yes.
Awesome. And that is, where'd you go? 1d10 plus 3. Hang on.
Wow.
Take that.
10 points of damage. Okay. You strike it a solid blow. It now looks very hurt. There are pieces of its flesh kind of falling off it, even more than normal. There's, the kind of claws. It sort of seems to be doing its, like, threatening thing, but it looks also kind of not very... You kind of messed it up right there. And because you did bonus, moved up, and attacked, that's as much as you could do because you're literally at the top of the stairs. You can see that that Barian is up here to the left, looking wide-eyed with this with their rapier held, looking at this creature in the door. Bonko, you just heard the sound of Barian calling with a bit of panic, I would say, down.
Just as Perdita did, and run to the combat.
Okay, if you did a double move, you'd probably get to about here, I would say, Bonko, from where you are.
Right there. All right.
Like about midway through the stairs, or up the
Yeah.
stairs. Okay, So you book it. Nilana, what about you? You are... I think you were over here with the cop.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, even with going ahead and doing double movement, going from there, I can only get to there.
20, 30. If you're double moving,
60.
I think you can go farther than that, Nilana, because these are 5-foot squares. Unless your movement's lower than I think.
Yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60.
That would get you about here, by my count.
Okay, well, I'll go wherever you say.
I mean, if that's what you're doing, like, I
don't.
don't. But are you booking it up the stairs, or are you like, oh, well, they're screwed? I mean, like, it's up to you.
No, I'll go ahead and if I can't make to the top of the stairs, I'll stay at the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
That way, I can. I'll stay there.
Okay.
Rather than getting attacked on the stairs and then falling down and breaking my neck.
Sounds like a plan. Perry, you, I believe, were in here. You maybe can just... Oh, I'm sorry, you were in here. That's right. Yeah, because you can hear it through the fact that Bonko just booked it out the other way. So you heard that sound, a little bit of a cry, and then you saw Bonko book it the other direction. So...
Cool. 25 movement to 50 feet, so I can probably make it to the bottom of the stairs. So I might slide up on there next to our tiefling fellow.
That sounds like a plan. Let's see.
Did you hear screaming?
As
It's
you get to
not
the
ours,
bottom.
so it's all good.
Yep.
True. But the more of us alive, the easier we get out.
The creature finally gets to go, having rolled a terrible initiative. It looks with anger and hatred at you, Barian, being closer than the 10 foot away with a halberd creature, and it swipes out at you with its claws. Let's see. It is going to attack twice. Okay. That is going to be.
I have a reaction. Is this useful in this moment?
I'm sorry. Say again. You're what?
I have a reaction. I'm
Oh.
wondering if it's useful in this
Tell me
moment.
about it.
It's cutting words. I can spend 1 bardic inspiration to right. When a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, ability check, or damage roll, you can use your reaction to expend one of your uses of bardic inspiration, rolling a bardic inspiration die and subtracting the number rolled from the creature's roll.
Okay. So you want to use cutting words? You can certainly do so.
Yes, I want to use it on the attack roll.
Okay. So go ahead and do that. So your bardic inspiration die is probably 1d4, I'm guessing.
1d6.
Oh, 1d6. Okay. So go ahead and make your 1d6 roll. What exactly do you use? I'm just curious. Like, what are your cutting words? How do you cut this thing? Verbally.
Like I still panicked, still like absolutely freaking out at the mere sight of this thing leaping out of an elevator at me. I say something to the extent of, I don't know why this ugly thing is in front of me, but I'm definitely putting it down.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and roll your 1d6. Cuts deep. Cuts deep. Oh, wow. It's just like, oh, ugly. No, why?
Nice.
Okay. So I'm curious, would a 15 have hit your AC, Barian?
A 15 is my AC.
So it's a good thing you got this, because instead it's a 9, because it rolled a 15. So it like does that, and then like as if your words stagger, it's like, rah! And so it misses the first time, and with its second swipe, which would have hit you, it staggers back to the wall, being affected by your horrific insult. That is just, and it stands there angrily. Barian, it also happens to be your turn now, since we're back up to the top of the round. It looks badly hurt now, both physically and emotionally.
Okay, now I'm trying to put out an eye. So 1d20 plus 5.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't hit at all.
Yeah, an 8 is not going to get it done. It's sort of just like...
Your cutting words were a double-edged sword. You hurt yourself as well.
Exactly. It dodges your just like the unkindest cut of all. Barian, you are about, as I said, 5 feet away, so you moved kind of a little closer just to kind of, attack. You can again back out of the way again, so you could disengage another 5 feet, which would only mean that next round, if it's still around, you'd have to like come in on it again. So, but it's up to you. You can also just stay engaged with it. It's up to you.
I am going to disengage. At this point, I'm kind of engaging in like a weird kind of fencing dance with this monster, where I'm like skipping in and skipping back out.
Right, with
So,
the rapier makes
yeah.
sense. Like, for sure, I can see it. Okay, so you do that, and Perdita, you are now at the top of the stairs with your halberd, having hit it once. It is standing in the door, trying to pay more attention to Barian, which it could actually hit, or tried to hit. What do you want to do?
Suspect my armor class may be slightly better, or rather, I wouldn't think of it that way. I think I'm a little better armored than this bard, so
Sounds
I'm going to
reasonable.
try and get the creature's attention, move in on it,
Okay.
move a little closer, and stab at it again with my halberd.
Okay.
Ooh, nope.
Unfortunately, it
All right.
ducks out of the way.
With my bonus action, I will whistle for Jaws.
Okay. What's Jaws' speed, by the way? 25, probably?
40 feet. Wow.
40 feet.
That's
all
what the
right.
sheet says.
5, 10, 15, 20.
Yeah, but
One
when Jaws is
for-
like 90 foot long, sort of, that's 40 foot between each thing. You reaches up there in 2 steps.
Yeah,
So,
the widest of strides.
so So Jaws comes in. So I think actually with that kind of movement, it could probably get to it on this turn if you charge with that second attack. So, or with that second movement. So if you're going to do that, I would have you make an attack roll if you're going to have him attack. Depends on whether you want him to, Perdita.
Does this creature look diseased or undead? Can I tell?
It's got gray skin. It seems almost like that impossibly long tongue. It does not look like a normal living creature or beast. It could well be undead, and in fact, as a paladin, you would have a pretty good guess that it's undead, yeah.
That being the case, I'm just going to have Jaws be a distraction and try and prevent the thing from getting... I'm trying to keep it pinned up where it is.
Okay. I do want to point out that as Barian is standing there, Barian, you hear this... And then this like massive dog is just bounding up the stairs, from with cats flying in all directions,
Get pictures.
dog.
All of the cats like literally yelping and flying away.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cats just like like as they're flying as Jaws makes his way up. Okay, Perdita, I think you're going to stay where you are, given all that. Bonko, you at this point would be able to make it up the rest of the way. I think if you were to sort of run up the stairs, you could get up here and see that you've got a nervous-looking Barian with their rapier out. You have got a not nervous-looking Perdita with her halberd out, and a very large dog that is up there, sort of harassing this gray-skinned, long-tongued, long-clawed beast that is standing halfway in and out of a strange-looking room.
Let's just go straight on and just go for attack.
Okay. I think you can probably do that by getting... Yes, I think so. You can probably get in there. You're going to have to like get in and then disengage again because you've got allies here and allies here. But you can enter the square and attack and then back out, especially as a halfling, back up to here. So if you're going to do that, then go ahead and make your attack.
So he has a better athletics than acrobatics.
That's...
Well, acrobatics is his better skill level.
Okay. I don't think you'll need to worry about that, actually. The attack will be itself, so I don't think you have to worry about the acrobatics here. So just make your attack, and then we'll see what happens on the other side of the attack. And yes, Yumi, they can.
Okay, so I'm gonna go for range attack with my dart.
That is going to not happen because of the position of your allies. You can jump through and make kind of a melee attack, like essentially sneaking in and then attack with like a stunning fist or something to the knee. But a dart is going to be too difficult. You have a big dog, you have a person with a rapier, and a person with a halberd all in close proximity.
A melee attack. Unarmed strike.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
I love the image of Barian staring down at the stairs, and this first Perdita shows up, then a dog comes barreling up the stairs, then a halfling monk comes barreling up the stairs. Also, you just wait for more creatures to pile up the stairs. Oh man,
that's 1d20 plus the amount attack, right?
Yeah, and it should say, I think, on the sheet what your attack would be.
Yeah, it does.
19 is a hit.
Oh, no. Oh, yes, it is.
6. So you reach up. Blow. Powerful shot to the throat. It staggers back. And then it bangs into the wall of the elevator, and it slumps to the ground. And the elevator begins to jerk, basically, not since it's not being held by anybody at the moment, jerks down, 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 and then hits the ground. And there's an eerie silence for a moment that descends. And then you hear a voice, a very guttural and yet airy sort of voice drifting through the air that says, "Oh no, now you've made me very, very angry." And that is where we're going to, unfortunately, have to bring our session to a close. I wish I could go longer, but it's already super late, and this is going to take a little longer than I hoped. I'm sorry, but I don't want us going until 4 in the morning Eastern. Partly because I know Brandon has got a certain adventure that he's got to run later today, so I don't want to put you in that position.
That is true.
But
what?
But isn't it 4 in the morning when a convention normally finish the night on a convention?
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
I open it. I was just saying, like, I open an elevator and a zombie jumps out, and I'm like, okay, cool.
I'm really hoping, and I don't know, I'm going to be doing the next one of these in December, but it would be really cool, although technically I like to do Christmas-themed ones, but it would be neat if some combination of people in this group could return to finish the adventure at that time. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there as a possibility, because I would love to see
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. I'd love to see the rest of you experience the rest of this, because it's a really neat adventure. It just ran a little longer than I expected, which is partly because we started later and mistakes were made. Anyway, but it was a lot of fun watching everyone go through what we went through. I will start with the person on the right side of the screen, and then I'll move over to the left. I will begin with Trish Matz. Good stuff today, Trish, and I thought you were doing a very good job in sort of consistently, in providing a very consistent characterization of Perdido, which was basically just like, listen, y'all can do your, whatever talking. There is a greenhouse. I need to find the greenhouse. I don't know where the greenhouse is, but what we really need is a greenhouse. So if you could just show me the greenhouse. So you had a very consistent approach.
I mean, my character was coming off a little bossy, I think, but then again, try to think of that as goal focused rather than, just being a tyrant for the sake of being a tyrant.
Indeed, greenhouse focused, one might say. How did you
also?
How did you feel about today, Trish? Where will the fine folks see you next?
I enjoyed this quite a bit. It was fun interacting with everybody. I enjoy hopping into a character and trying to inhabit it and portray, and I had a good time. I am curious about the rest of the mystery, but I know that time is finite. As for where people can find me, I often guest on the SFF Audio podcast, but whenever I'm on something, I post about it on Twitter at PE Matson. And there's a blog that I occasionally update that you can find from my Twitter account.
Very good stuff. Thank you, Trish, as always. Very, very happy to have you with us on board, and we will see you for, assuming Shadowed is feeling better, we will see you hopefully Wednesday for some community D&D. But thank you, Trish. Always a pleasure. Also, always a pleasure to have Wenchkin with us. We got some good examples of what Neilana was all about. I was really having fun watching Neilana and Barian go at it a little bit with kind of like, I think this, and you're just like, really? Because I think this. Well, listen, here, I'm going to give you the faux outrage of being like, listen, I can't believe that you would even think I was thinking for myself.
Yeah,
it was
a sort of
funny.
Cade and Ryuvi vibe from that.
Yes, there was a bit of the Cade Ryuvi thing, although this was a case where both of them were kind of like, I'm going to 3D, 5-dimensional chess each other a little bit, which was fun from a persuasive point of view. How did you feel about today, Wenchkin? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I had a ball going ahead and play today, and it was really good being able to have someone like Barian to go ahead and play off against. With regards to it, where you could sort of have the sort of little snips and witty sort of jabs here and there, and sort of verbal fencing. Very, very good. Lots of fun there. There was sort of great to be able to do role playing sort of rarely get to do it. So yeah, I hang out for these days, and I love being able to do it. And thank you very much for Arv. Anyone that wants to see me, I do streaming. You can find me on twitch.tv/Wenchkin. Generally play role-playing games of computer nature, ESO, sort of all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, otherwise I jump in a game when I can.
Good stuff. Thank you, Wenchkin. Always a pleasure. And yeah, definitely check out Wenchkin's channel when you get the chance as well. Thank you very much, sir. Also, very good, as always, to have our beloved Echo with us, who was playing Bonko Bombadil. And it was interesting, Echo, because you're as opposed to Shakunis, who plays much more of a sorry, not Shakunis anymore. That's changed.
Roderick.
Right? Roderick, sorry. As opposed to Roderick, who's very much more like, I'm Batman, that type of thing. This was very much just kind of like, I think this is great. Let's do more. Like it was very much more a different sort of change of pace, I think. And Bonko got a chance to sort of see things. Didn't really get into much trouble because was kind of doing more of sort of like exploration, and then other things happened, but you landed the killing blow on this creature, and obviously were part and parcel of what was going on RP wise. So how did you feel about today, and where will the lovely folks see you next?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I did indeed. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, it's always fun to do some sessions of this. And I will say that Bonko was sort of inspired by Trenning's Weather Pale,
Okay.
sort of. Because the herbalist,
Yep.
and the tea, it sort of brought it to life, but also with the martial arts that brought the taekwondo from me, since I do that in my real life, which is now paused because of the COVID crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I don't think there's any more to say, and that I am available to continue this on December, hopefully, unless there's nothing that shall come to disturb. And where people can find me next? Maybe this Wednesday, hopefully, given that Shadow Mage is going to be feeling better, hopefully. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at EchoAlpha_X5. And I hope to get that godforsaken Forbidden Library soon, because I am moving away during the new year.
I know. Me too. Trust me. I know. The print editions, a lot of things were screwed up by COVID, as we all know, including printing. But it's coming. Yeah. It's on the way. It's on the way.
And I don't think I have anything more else to say other than BLM, vote now, stay safe, stay sane, fight the COVID, stay indoors, physical distancing, social connections, and yeah, on to the Light and Passion himself.
Thank you very much, Echo. Always a pleasure. And yes, Light and Passion, you did get the chance to listen in and get into a bit of trouble. I thought it was an interesting play for Barian to toss you the ring, and then for you to be like, great, and then Barian to be like, so this is the only way we escape, and you'd be like, considering what the options would be with your, I think as you called it, thieves' eye view of things. And your perception was useful on a couple of occasions with things that you picked up that might not otherwise have been seen. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next, here, there, and everywhere on the internets?
No, it's doing great, actually. I mean, it's an oven game. It's going to be good, isn't it?
Aw, thank you.
Always.
True.
And of course, everybody in the community and all the people that always pop in here are always great players. So it's always fun when I get the chance to. Who knows? Maybe here in December. We'll see. I guess depends on what day it lands and how things are going. Otherwise, I don't stream.
But it's always a pleasure to have you with us, and yeah, hopefully you'll be able to, all of the group maybe will be able to join us. Normally I don't do that. I try to keep it to one shot, but for something like this, whatever, it's my channel, I can do what I want. No, but I try to actually, move it around. But for something like this, maybe. Anyway, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, Light and Passion, for being with us. And last but certainly not least, Brandon, my friend, thank you very much for being this as well. And Barian definitely was really great to sort of see play out. I loved some of the kind of inner mechanisms and workings. I was not surprised that you would pull some of that stuff out, but I liked it, and I enjoyed not only the sort of the negotiations. I was loving the thing with the old sea dog, like with the barnacles and everything. Like I was just the visual and the image of you being like, oh, I know exactly how to do this. It's just like imitating what they're doing was great. And also that and just the moment of the elevator opening and the ghoul and you just being like, oh, like with a rapier and being really effective out of the horror of this thing,
Panic.
you know. That's here was really a great time.
Turns out when you're very close to a zombie and you just stab, you always hit.
You always hit it. How did you feel about today, Brandon? And I already know, but for those who don't know, where will the folks see you next?
So I want to say this is a lot of fun. Thank you for having me. I haven't played D&D in a very long time, and I haven't played a game of anything in not as long a time, but also very long. I've been GMing for quite some time, and I haven't experienced the joy of just embodying a character and doing wild stuff in quite some time. I'm really glad to get the opportunity to do what I love to do in D&D, just play a dumb bard. And this was a lot of fun. I'm really glad to have played with your community in particular because everybody was really nice. As for where folks can see,
Yeah, exactly.
As for where folks can see me, I'm on almost all social media at The Rising Tides. And this coming Sunday, as in tomorrow, I will be GMing yet another session of Sound Clash the Clampdown.
Hell yeah.
Which is going to be a lot of fun because I literally spoke to the cast like literally an hour before joining the chat for this stream, and we have a lot of very interesting story beats planned that I look forward to hitting very soon. And next week Sunday is another session of Blades in the Dark, The Case of the Sided Seal, our Speculate co-stream miniseries, which I'm also very excited to get back into. So yeah.
That's going to be good stuff. Thank you very much, Brandon. And also you will see Brandon next month because we will be doing a fundraiser stream for Soundclash the Clampdown, which is going to be pretty epic. It's going to be a one-day only fundraiser, and it's going to be raising money specifically to support that campaign. So, raising money hopefully so that I can put together a proper video, so that we can have hopefully audio editing. We'd love to be able to turn it into an audio podcast, kind of like what I do with Curse of Strahd, but it costs money to do that. So I can only, do it so much. I'm only one guy. And so having the ability to have some money raised, and we've got some really cool things on tap that Brandon and I actually hammered out just in one session. We hammered out exactly what it would look like, which is pretty cool. Actually, I didn't think that would happen, but so that's going to be happening next month, and I think it's November 22nd, if I'm not mistaken.
It is November 22nd. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward in particular to certain things falling in place and appearing in my mailbox, so we can possibly do some particularly neat stuff for
the thing
that stream.
You were mentioning.
So, yeah.
The thing you were
Yes,
making
the
reference to.
thing.
Okay.
Which I can not refer to it as a thing. I can be deliberate about the thing. There is a book called the Ultimate Micro RPG book that I have a micro RPG in called A Machine Larger Than You, which I'm considering it or another very much smaller, much briefer game, which would either take up one of these spaces that we were not particularly sure on because we wanted to check some things about that system, or depending on the length of I know that the length of the small game that I'm also thinking of is actually very, very short and very, very weird and very, very silly. That is a thing that can literally be played in a handful of minutes, and I'd really like people to see that game as well. Designed by a friend of mine who goes by the name Soup. The name of the game is Pyre Waltz. Love is coming again, and you literally just uh, jump into a giant mech and get in a fight with your mecha rival and discover radical feelings while getting in this fight. So if you're into the last episode of a mecha anime being the most emotionally dramatic and maybe ending with like a confession of love as well, that is also a game that we might consider playing. But all of these things are contingent on me getting a copy of the book and talking to Arv about it. So when that happens, we will reconvene again and decide how the 22nd will go. But the 22nd is definitely going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I gotta think about getting this thing too. Like, not only is it this kind of stuff turns my crank regardless, and then the Ultimate Micro RPG book, tear out and play now. So like, you could just be like, all right, I'm gonna do this. First of all, I don't know why you would ruin a book. You just keep the book and then you just have this thing. But no, the fact that you can
because
tear
like
it out,
what?
it's super cool.
Yeah, and it has like so many wonderful games by so many brilliant designers in it that I didn't learn some of the designers that have games in it until like weeks ago. Like I didn't learn until last month that one of the games is designed by Nathan Blades, who is playing in our Sunclash game.
Yeah. Oh,
So like,
really?
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
interesting. Oh, cool.
It's chock full of so many goodies, and I'd like for people to get an opportunity to see some of those goodies if possible.
That's super cool. I'm just looking, like, they have Gnomesteaders is the first one, just like in a little like sample, and then Absolution in Brass, which is a game of guilty steampunk zombie cyborgs. I mean, like, first of all, Absolution in Brass is a tremendous title. Like, I don't like, good God. That is great. Anyway, that's really neat. And I have a lot of respect for, having seen Soundclash now, I have a lot of respect for Brandon's game design skills, and I think that's super cool. Quick start games, and then where it's really neat. And it's a good thing, by the way, even for even I think for game masters who are used to doing one particular kind of system, like if you're mostly just a D&D person, just to kind of broaden out a little bit and get some sense. So anyway, it's good. It's very cool. And yes, I hope they'll be available. But either way, as Brandon says, it will be great. All right, I'm going to let these lovely people go because I know it's super late in a lot of different places, including here. But I want to thank everyone for being awesome today, and hopefully we'll reconvene in December. But if not, I know I'll see you all in various different places. Chat, can we get some love for Brandon O'Brien, for Light and Passion, for Echo Alpha X5, for Wenchkin, and for Trishy Mats? Thank you all, lovely people. Great stuff tonight. Goodbye for now.
Curse if I did not return.
Thank you, guys.
Alrighty. Man, what fun. Fun times. That was a good time. I really like that. And I wish I had been able to get, but I was looking at the time as it was going along, and I'm like, this is great, but if I try to push this, we're going to be up until like 5 a.m. And even if they somehow survive like doing that, like being up, it's not going to be good play at a certain point because everyone's just going to be exhausted. So I didn't want to do that, but we will hopefully return to this. And I want to give a shout out as well to Jeff Stevens, who wrote this House of the Midnight Violet, because I think it's a fairly good adventure. I think the maps could use a bit of work. There's a little bit of inconsistencies there, here and there, but I think in general, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening here that is appropriately creepy, and I hope that we'll be able to do more of that. We will see if that actually happens, if more of it happens down the line. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel. Please check out my YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets. Website for all that is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is my merchandise area where you can get stuff for the Infinity and Beyond crew, playing Curse of Strahd in a couple of weeks to close that out, and the also Adventures of Middle-earth crew that will be continuing on Tuesday with more stuff. So that'll be happening as well. So we've got that going on. We also have as they back up here. We also have exclamation point Arvtreon, which is that 22 patrons, $2.39 per month. We are very excited to be able to see that that's beginning to tick up, because that's kind of the strength, the financial backbone of the channel comes from that. So any support that you can give will allow you to get inspiration for the players, allow you to get different copies of one of my band's albums, a professional character background, epic poem written about you, even critiques of your writing at a high enough tier. So any of that stuff would be appreciated, and that really helps the channel as well as we move towards other collective goals like another Talisman tournament or Orvanot Idol contest. And then we have, of course, that sub button, which will allow you to get one of those custom sub badges or emotes. A few of you jumped on board and resubbed today, so thank you so much for the resubs and the subs, and please consider jumping on board as well. Also on the publishing side, exclamation point Icarus for details about my Icarus graphic novels. Icarus graphic novel, which is coming out officially from Athos Arts in retail on November 10th. Exclamation point Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library from Alligator Alley Entertainment. Echo mentioned that. Print edition is coming very, very soon. I'm very excited about that. Yes, indeed, Yumi, I have that. Icarus is the graphic novel that we're talking about. November 10th is when that's coming out. So I'm very excited about it too. I think it's going to be good. Icarus is the one. That's right. And it was 2 books before in the Kickstarter, Icarus and Jelinek, but in retail it's coming out as 1 book, just Icarus, which is book 1 of a trilogy of graphic novels eventually, called The Longest Fall is the name of the series, and Icarus is book 1 of that series. So very excited about that. I already mentioned Library, and last, exclamation point Greyshade KS, which is my Greyshade Kickstarter, which will be launching February 2nd. That is a bunch of things. That is a board game, that is a set of books, that is a RPG, and an audiobook, all set in the universe of Greyshade that I wrote, and I'm very excited for that because we got a lot of talented people working on that as well. Otherwise, last 2 things which Echo already mentioned that are very important. Exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. This is very, very important to us and to this channel, and it's very important that we continue to highlight the significance of this on all levels. So please consider going over there and lending support, both educational and resource-wise, to those that support that cause. And exclamation point Vote Now. Very important, especially if you're a U.S. citizen, to know where you can vote, to make sure you're registered to vote, because that is super critical. This is a very big election, so make sure that you do that as well. Oh, no problem at all, Yuma. I usually go through this anyway, just in case, because we get new people that come in, and sure, for sure, so no problem. But you can find more details of some of that down below this video window as well. No, I hear you. Me too. I'm glad you were able to stop by for a little while today, Yuma. So again, exclamation point Vote Now, very important. Make sure you check that out as well. Otherwise, I think we are probably going to do just a quick note about schedule. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, as Brandon said, he will be GMing the amazing Sound Clash, the Clampdown crew. So you will want to check that out. It is a very different kind of game from D&D, but I think it's very cool and very good, and it's designed by Brandon himself, so you should definitely check that out. And I think we're going to do a raid today. Let me see who we've got. Oh, I know exactly who we're going to raid. Yes, I do. I know who we're going to go raid. No, I know it's not over. Keep pushing all the way to the end. That's exactly right, Kilgore. But I know exactly who we're going to raid. And the way that raids work is very simple. If you're not a sub, you're going to do this, which is this one right here. The Arvanets have landed, followed by Twitch raid. Lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. Very, very important Twitch raid. And then the other one, which is sub raid, which is that. The Arvanets have landed, followed by Twitch raid, and then Arvany Roar. And then we've also got Arvany Hype in there as well. You can throw in Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, and all that kind of good stuff when you were brought over auto-magically to the raid place that we're going to go. And I hear you, Yumi, although I will say that, for me, that's not the BLM thing is not a political stance. It's kind of a life stance. Like, they matter at all times, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you understand that and agree with that too. But I just want to emphasize that it is important that we sort of acknowledging it even when it's not election season. In fact, even more when it is, because it's important to me personally and to people around us. And so that's one of the reasons why we support it that way. Anyway, Twitch raid and Arv raid, I've already talked about that. Schedule-wise, again, remember, you'll see us 7 p.m. Eastern for Sound Clash the Clampdown. I want to thank my wonderful mods, Rock God, and earlier on we had Shadowed Mage, and yeah, exactly, I'm with you on that, Yumi. Rock God for my mod work today. Shadowed, I hope you feel better, and then we had a Rudinell in here before. I hope he gets better as well soon. All of a sudden, my mods are all getting ill at the same time. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers as well. Thank you to Echo Shadow Alpha for all the help as well with the mod-related stuff tonight. Thank you to Kilgore. Thank you to Arinth, to Mrs. Dunsel, Trisha Metz, and Yumi. And a special thanks to my Patreon supporters in there as well. Thank you to Kilgore, who's been supporting my Patreon for a long time at a very high tier, and I'm always appreciative of that. So thank you, Kilgore. I know you know that, but I'm emphasizing it again. I really have always appreciated that. So thank you. A fellow GOG streamer, and you should be following Kilgore if you're not already, because Kilgore does a lot of cool retro games, and you should check Kilgore out. Plus, he's Canadian, so listen, what else do you want? He's got obviously a good dude because he's Canadian, Thank you to my wonderful viewers, to Aiton, Black Fury, Commander Root, CSHD. Thank you to Dark Sinner, to Jidge Inferno. Thank you to Emerald Eyes, to Feet, to Idlara. Thank you to Jedi, to Light and Passion. I'll come back to him. Live Suing, Lurks, Saddest Kitty, Princess League, Scon TV, Tauntoms. Thank you to the Rising Tides. I'll come back to Rising Tides in a minute. Thank you to Toto Herbs. Thank you to you, Christensen. Thank you to Ultigride. Thank you to Uncle Elias, V&K, Virgo Proz, Void Smoker, and Wenchkin. And thank you, last but not least, enjoy your vacation, Kilgore, by the way. And thank you, last but not least, especially to my players tonight. Thank you so much to Brandon. Thank you so much to Echo. Thank you so much to Light and Passion. Thank you so much to Wenchkin. And thank you so much to Trisha Matz. Great job. I knew it was going to be a good crew. And thank you all for a lot of fun. It was good stuff. And so that's the deal with that. Much love to everyone who did a great job tonight. And I will see all of you very, very soon. Make sure you come back, as I say, Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern for Sound Clash The Clampdown. Until then, everyone, be good to each other. And thanks, Diginferno. Thanks for being here. And bye for now, everyone. Everyone be good to each other. I'll catch you all soon. Have a good night.